Good evening, Stunt Hangar fans. I'm your host, Rusty, and this is the Stunt Hangar Aeromodeling forums where we talk about control line and any other kind of aeromodeling or things you like to do in your shop until we get tired of talking about it, at least till midnight. And so we'll hang out until then, usually on Friday nights. It goes on a little longer. Depends on how tired everybody is from having fun this week. And the links are in the usual places, meaning it just went up as the show started in the At the Bench thread on the main stunthangar.com forum. And if you go to stunthangar.com, you can go to the main forums page and scroll down, not to the open forum, but below that is a section called live streams, and there is a new post in it with today's date in the title. That's how you know it's the right one. And it will have the link to come in and join us with your microphone and camera. Or the other option is you can stay on YouTube and watch the live stream. And that is the Stunt Hangar, two words, Stunt Hangar YouTube channel. And over there, you have a text chat box where you can either speak amongst yourselves and have your own conversations, or if you've got anything relevant to our conversations here, you can speak to us, and we'll try to incorporate what you've got to say into our conversations. And meanwhile, just keep it family room friendly. Try to keep your background noise to a minimum so we don't get distracted by rattling plastic and stuff like that. And that goes for sanding and sawing and everything else that you might want to do. You can mute your mic if you have to do that. But anyway, so let's have a show. It looks like, let me put it in grid mode. Looks like we've got Peter already in here, working diligently on something. What you working at, Peter? Like some carbon veil you had out there.
Some carbon veil that I'm going to be using to put on this.
Okay. Yeah, harden it up against dings and that sort of thing. And looks like Gary just joined us, and so did John. So how are all you guys doing tonight?
Just fine.
Great. Happy 4th of July, one day early.
Yeah.
And that means today's the first day of the new Stunt Hangar July calendar featuring Otto Wimmer holding his dad's plane, and it's as big as he is. And let's see, that's Gerald Wimmer's his dad, as his plus sized showman. So that's a showman that he's holding for the entire month of July. Otto is our man. So
he's gonna have tired arms holding that thing for the whole month.
Yeah, don't forget to flip your calendars over. Yeah, he's gonna get tired holding that up for a month. He can put it down between shows. That's it.
That's it.
Everybody have a good week so far.
Yeah, and hot and dry here.
Yeah, it's been hot here. It's at 100 degrees a couple of days. It's been mostly in the mid 90s, mid to high 90s. Yeah. I'm tired. Lots of times I am worse tired on Friday than I am on Monday. So hopefully everybody won't be too tired to entertain us tonight. We can have some show and tell maybe.
I was going to bring up the twin flight streak, but it's so darn big.
Couldn't fit it.
Take up more room in here than I can allocate.
Yeah, if you can't fit it through the door, it's probably too big for show and tell.
Yeah, I think it's got an 82-inch wingspan, if I remember correctly.
Wow, that is a big one.
Wow.
It's either that or it's 78. But it's what it is two flight streak wings joined together end to end. So what is it? 42 inches? is a fly streak, normal fly streak wingspan. Is that right?
No, it's bigger than that, isn't it? Maybe not, though. I'm not sure. I know I've got a full size flight streak in the box in the bedroom unbuilt, but I don't know. I'll run look and see what the wingspan on it
Well,
is.
yeah,
Get
if
my
it's
coffee.
42, then it would be 84-inch wingspan. You
I'll
know,
go look. I forgot my coffee, so when I get up to go get my cup of coffee, I'll go look at that box and
Yeah.
see what it says.
okay. It was a good flying airplane. You know, it really, the story behind that airplane is Mark Fechner, a local modeler from years back. He was the one that actually designed what became the Too Much. He designed the Nobler, the twin Nobler, you know, that Gordon Planey flew.
Mm-hmm.
And before he built it, he and Gordon had gotten into a discussion, and he wasn't sure how long to make the nose moments, you know, on a twin. You know, should they be shorter because you got more engine weight out there, or what? And Gordon said, well, just make it the same length as would on a normal Nobler. He says, so that means that if I took a flight streak and just took the fuselages, left them as they were, and put two fuselages on two wings, joined them, it should fly just fine. He said, yeah, it should. So he did that. And it's got a very high aspect ratio stab and elevator on it. It's probably 36 inches long. And anyway, the darn thing flew very well. In fact, it flew so well that he stopped working on the twin Nobler and flew the twin flight streak in several contests out here in the West. I have some pictures from a contest that I believe was in Idaho that he was flying that at. So yeah, and I found it to be a very nice flying airplane. It tracked very well and turned well. The high aspect ratio wing, of course, made a lot of difference until the wind came up. And in a windy day, I have had a 3-view of that airplane as it flies.
Like trying to fly a sailboat, then all of a sudden.
Well, yeah, it just the wind. I mean, I've had it looked at the front end, the back end, the top and bottom side, and all of that in one pass through. So it gets your attention in the wind. It wasn't fun to fly in heavier winds.
Yeah, of course, I've never flown anything that big. The biggest thing I've ever flown is the Magnum, and I think that was 66 inches or something like that.
Well, that twin flight streak flies on a pair of OS 20 FPs.
A pair of, oh, really?
Yeah, with
Well,
9 4 props on it. And it's got plenty of power. In fact, I actually did a loop once on just one engine. I mean, it was a big loop, and I had to, drag it and get it going. But, it did it,
Yeah. Well, flight streak wing is a fantastic piece of work anyway. That's a great wing.
Yeah, it is. I've also found out that on that particular plane, it didn't matter whether the outboard or the inboard engine stopped first. It stayed out there, tracked out there like it was supposed to. So I always put a little on the twin. I always put a little bit of out thrust on the outboard nacelle or outboard engine, so that if the inboard quits, the outboard running, you got a little, you know what I mean, little. So, yeah. I see Peter working on the Spirit of Saginaw. How's it going, Pete?
Well, I'm just finished touching up all the pieces, getting all the the little nubs off the rivets where you separate them from the laser cutting. It's just sanding those all off. Basically cleaning up all the laser cut pieces. So I'm getting ready to
Cool.
start assembling the fuselage, just making sure I don't have anything that's going to give me gaps.
Don't want those gaps.
No, it's if anybody's built a laser cut kit, as opposed to the laser cut kits. They have these little sections in them that are not cut. So when
Yeah.
you break them out of the balsa, they'll end up giving you a little bit of a bump of the balsa on that edge. So what I've been doing is I've just been taking I've been taking a sander lightly to them to get everything flat and smooth.
That's good. That's good. Did you get your wing jig yet?
No, Brodak is sending it, and they're also sending me another one of those fuselage jet engine intake sides that, that they left out.
I bet they apologized.
Actually, no, they didn't. I just noticed that there's a shipment being sent out to me.
Well, that's good. I think John was always good at that. You know, if there was something missing, and I'm pretty sure that his people that are still.
Oh yeah, no. You know, I sent an email with a big picture on what was missing, and then 2 days later, I look at my emails and I get a shipping notice from Brodak saying that your order is on its way.
Ah, good.
Yeah,
Good.
they've always had great customer service. So
Yeah.
that's a good company.
I'm so looking forward to seeing how this build goes. You know, I'm intimately acquainted with the airplane and the kit, but I've never built one. So um, I think it's pretty straightforward build.
It certainly seems that way. Although I do have, like I said, I'll mention that in order to build this wing, it's kind of designed to use the wing jig from them, which would have been kind of nice to know ahead of time.
They didn't have that in the notes of things that you would need.
Yeah, but something I noticed is that almost all of their, I mean, like I said, I built the Vector 40 kit from them several years ago, and that didn't require a jig. But now, if you look through the notes, just about all their kits says, require, additional things that you will need, that list. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of them say you need this wing jig, including the Vector 40. So it's kind of like,
Well, I think once you buy one and you got it, you don't need to buy another one. It's kind of
no,
like,
no,
you know,
not at all.
I built one, a rod jig. Oh shucks, clear back in the '80s, and I still have it. But I wound up getting uh, I made a jig set up for my wings that it's I can adjust all kinds, just a trailing edge sweep. I can adjust the leading edge sweep, and it's all set up to. I have a little tab that goes into the trailing edge, a little 1/8 inch balsa tab that goes in there, and same thing on the leading edge, and that is all held up in place and clamped in place. And get these beautiful straight wings out of it, and I can build the entire wing with it. It's kind of similar to the millennial wing, but it's just uh, a little more further down the road. That I mean, one could do like who was it on here that was building a wing, and it was I think it was Sparky. He cut out little balls to stand up and built that wing, basically millennial wing style. No, that was Trayan that did that. That's who it was, Trayan. Anyway, he built these and he glued them down, and he used that to set the heights of the trailing edge and the leading edge. Built a whole wing suspended from that like a millennial wing. There are other ways you can do it, but did they have the holes cut for the rod jig, Peter?
Yep, the holes are there.
That's the easiest way. Then
Yeah, you see, the other thing is that I do not have a permanent workbench surface. What I basically had to do is I dragged in one of those folding tables, and that's
Yeah,
going to be my work surface until the plane is finished, and then it gets folded up and put back in the garage. So
right.
I don't have something that I can like really set up a permanent, multifaceted building jig.
I understand. Well, my building jig it's got a hole drilled through it at one end, and I got a nail on the wall, and I just pick it up and slide it on that nail, and it just hangs there on the wall, and it's out of the way, and that, you know, if before I had to nail, I just would stand it in the corner.
Some I've noticed some of these jigs they kind of like require you to almost bolt them to a tabletop surface, and I can't pretty much do that.
No, well, that's the nice thing about a rod jig is a rod jig, you know, it's got its own framework, and you set it on a table. If the table is a little off, that's not a big thing. If you got a good enough base on there, it'll stay, it'll go across it, maintain level. The rods will maintain a level, even with a crooked base underneath it, up to a point, of course.
Yeah,
I've got a rod jig from Brodak, and somebody gave it to me, and I don't know if he ever used it, but I never have. And I looked at it a couple of times right before I started to build, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do when I got each half of the wing built, how to join the two halves of the wing, and was wondering how y'all go about doing that. Yeah, I guess you got to do it before you put the center sheeting on and build a double center rib and glue it together at that center rib.
You got it. You got most of them got a double center rib. The spars come right into there. A lot of times you'll put a brace of cord. Remember, like the ringmaster. Sometimes I'll put a little sub spar behind the spar, a little brace there to keep the spar joined. You know, spar joiner, and do the same thing on the leading and the trailing edge pieces. Then you put in your mount. If you've got a flat mount for the bell crank, to put that in. If you're going to suspend it, why then you get you get the partial sheeting on, so you can get the suspension in there.
Yeah.
And suspend the bell crank, and then put the rest of the sheeting on with your push rod coming out. It's not hard to join them, but a lot of guys, like we discussed last week, a lot of guys like to take and get two of them, and they'll join it in the center. And what you do is you put a support. You can cut a support out of plywood, light plywood, or balsa, whatever. But it's a center support, so you don't get that bow down through the center, and that works fine. Then you can build the whole darn wing.
Yeah, I've looked at it a couple of times and then shied away from it and put it back on the shelf and just built it like a new house. So
yeah. Well, once you ever use we got a delay there. Once you ever use a rod jig or any jig, once you use it and you get familiar with it, you won't want to build a wing without it. You know.
Yeah.
Because you do get a good straight wing usually out of it, unless you mess up.
Yeah. What about the steel rods? I wasn't sure whether to trust them or to go out and buy some carbon fiber and replace them.
Well, does Brodax come with steel rods or aluminum?
The one I've got came with, it looked like it was heavy, so steel. This was an old piece of work that the guy sent me. I think he'd had it on his shelf for 10 or 15 years, maybe longer, before he decided to give it to me.
Well, if the rods are straight, you're okay to use them. If I was going to replace them, I would replace them with carbon fiber.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because once you bend aluminum, you'll never get it back.
Right. So, but with the carbon fiber, you know, if you're going to put two of them together, I mean, if you've got one jig and you want to make it so you can do the whole wing, one jig, you can take that, you can extend the rods, put a joiner in the center of the rods, put them together, glue them up that way, and then move the end out and put a center support in there that you can take in or out. And now you don't have to buy two jigs to do it. You know.
Right.
So the one I built out of, there was an article in the old RCM, Radio Control Modeler. Remember that magazine? Anybody?
I've heard of it, but I never did.
Yeah, that was a big magazine back in the day. Anyway, but they had a whole article on how to build this wing jig, and I thought, gee, I need one of those. So I got a 2x12 for the base, you know, and I made sure it was level, you know, it was straight, wasn't twisted or anything. And then I used I had to cut some off. I used the 2x12 cutoff standing, you know, I cut it off so that they were like, I think 2 or 2.5 inches, 3 inches long. And I turned them and I glued them and screwed them onto the ends so that they were up, you know. And then I took a little piece of, I think it was actually a piece of a yardstick. It was just, I just needed a piece about a 1/2 inch or a 3/4 inch, the width of that 2x12 that I've got there. That's just so you can put your front rod up against something and it doesn't go sliding out. Okay. And then I drilled and set up for a bolt coming all the way through from the bottom. And I had a piece of hardwood 1x2, 2x1x2, whatever. And I drilled that up to the center, and I had a wing nut on it. So when I got ready to do the wing, I'd get the rib in there so I could get the spacing, and I'd set it up, get the front up against the stop, get the other one in, get it straight, and then I'd get all of the ribs in there, and then I'd clamp it down and tighten up the wing nuts, and now those rods are not going to move.
Mm.
And then you just slide it. You know, I'd make up a little piece of balsa that had the how far I wanted the ribs apart. So I just start in the center and set it, slide this one up to it, little drop, 1 drop of CA to hold it, move it over, set it, you know, just down the road like that. Get both sides done, and you're home free.
Yeah. Once you get it set up, you can work pretty quick that way too.
Yeah, yeah. And then you could throw on, you know, like a lot of wings use the fish mouth at the front of the rib, you know, for
Yeah.
So a lot of people like to use that because it's real easy to bring your sheeting over and onto that, or you can glue it onto that and pull it back and bring it back and glue it to your spar. And so you can set those in place. You can set your trailing edge in place. By the time you get done, the only, you know, you can get your you can get your everything but the sheeting done and pull it off the jig. It's not going to flop around on you or do anything. It's, you know, it's glued, holds its shape, and you can work with it. Wings build really fast on a jig.
What I've always done when I needed to jig something, especially back when I was doing half A, is I just had some 2x2 long balsa blocks. I would just cut into squares and glue them to the table and mark the height that I wanted the lead edge and the trail edge to sit, and that was good for both the wing and the rearrange it to do the fuselage too. So.
Oh yeah, it'll work. You know, it'll work. Gordon Delaney and I build ourselves our own fuselage jigs out of another article out of RCM, and they're basically have these. It's a long board, straight to melamine board, and it has screws through it, you know, carriage bolt type things through it, and I've got these they're made of 16th or yeah, I think it's 16th ply, and it's got 1/4 inch square hardwood, you know, so it's open, but it's got the hardwood on the edge, and those are set down over it. Now you get in there and I'll take make a copy of the fuselage, the top view of the fuselage, and I'll tape it down, get it lined up, and tape it down between these sliding stops, and then when I start, well, I'll put the you always build, what do you call it? What's it called? The engine crutch. I always build the crutch, so I'll get the crutch in there and get the balsa sheeting sides in there, and you just slide these up until they're nice and tight and holding it, and you screw the wing nut down, and you can turn them and whatever. You work down the fuselage, and you just follow the line of the fuselage. You get you get your various bulkheads in place, and you just tighten them up so that everything's held in place. And now you can make sure it's straight. There's no banana fuselage or anything like that in it. And once you got it set the way you want it, you just touch it with a little CA, let it dribble in. I use those little pipettes, and you can glue a fuselage up straight and true real quick and easy that way. So I use 2 jigs, one for the wing and one for the fuselage.
Looks like Phil Bailey's coming in to join us. Oh, we got 2 people out at YouTube. Oh, let's see. We got people we don't need in YouTube. I didn't even notice them. Make sure we make those disappear. And hey, Phil, your camera is turned off. Looks like your microphone's on and you got a good green signal bar. And meanwhile, y'all bear with me while I go over and handle the YouTube entries. I've been there for a few minutes and I didn't even notice them. We will.
I tell you that their brother-in-law's mother is making big money on the internet.
Nothing also interesting is that. Just 8th grade humor, I think.
Oh, brother.
Yeah. Okay, that ought to take care of that. And it's way too early for my eyes to be slamming shut. So y'all figure out something to talk about while I go get my cup of coffee, and I'll be right back. And, oh, hey, Tom. He popped in while Phil was coming in. So we got Phil. And Phil, I think it's the first time you've been in live, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay, well, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Phil's one of our Carolina Gang Club members. So y'all make him at home while I go get my coffee, and I'll be right back.
Okay, don't trip and spill it.
That's right.
So, Tom and Phil, I'm glad to meet you, Phil. It's the first time I met you.
No, I met you at Tucson a few years back.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
you had your Pathfinder built up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was trying to get my hands on a set of plans, never did. But I've got the regular Pathfinder. I've had a twin, and I have a swept wing one.
Oh, okay. Which Pathfinder were you trying to get the plans for?
The built up.
The Pathfinder LE or the?
That's it, LE.
The LE. Oh,
yeah.
That's a fine airplane.
That's what I keep hearing, but I've never had a chance to get one.
I think there's only 2 of them that have been out there. Well, there's 3 of them been built that I know of.
Well, Peter won't finish his. He needs to get busy and finish that thing. It's pretty.
I know. Well, Peter
have a long talk with him. Get one that far along and not finish it.
Well, he got discouraged in it along the build there because he's had a lot of problem with it.
Oh, Lord.
It wasn't so much problems at this point. It's been moved 3 times and it's pretty heavily damaged. And I just don't have the patience right now to get into it and then start fixing all the things that are wrong with that are busted up on the wing and the fuselage and the tail. And
sounds like a twister I learned to fly on. It was pretty busted up too before I learned to fly it.
Well, shucks. Right now, I almost lost all my drawings due to a computer glitch. Yeah. Everything on 2 computers. I had it spread on 2 computers, and they all disappeared. But but fortunately, I had them backed up. But there's some backed up here and some backed up over there, and I'm in the process of trying to get it. But if I run across from whatever, I'll try to send you off a PDF or something. You can take it down to the easiest way. Yeah, the easiest way to get those printed is I find places that do the engineering drawing work, engineering printing for like surveyors and stuff like that?
That's where I go.
Okay, that's the best place to take a PDF. And I'll tell you what, I'll send you the pattern sheet along with it, so that you can. It's real slick using the pattern sheet. You have ever used one?
Oh yes, I'm a scratch builder. I've built for the last 30 years. I haven't built a kit in 30 years. Well,
Okay.
I built off a kit and I took one and used it as templates, but
Okay.
I didn't use a piece of the kit.
Okay. Well, not everybody is familiar with how to use a pattern sheet.
Oh,
And not all of the guys that are drawing plans put a pattern sheet with it.
that's the truth. Wish they would.
Yeah. The pattern sheet, though, you can, in a couple hours time, you can cut out a kit that's as accurate as a laser cut kit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I like doing it that way. That way I get to select my wood. Because let's face it, nowadays when you buy a kit, even the good kits, 40% of the wood you throw away and replace.
They can't get good wood anymore right now.
No,
so
they can't.
I noticed that they got Okier. I noticed, is it Russ? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Russ is trying really hard, and I noticed looking at his balsa, he claims it's contest grade. I'm gonna order some from him just to see, if it really is contest grade wood. I need some 3/32 and some 1/8 inch and some 16. And the other heavier, the thicker ones, I've got a fair amount of it. But yeah,
the best wood I've been able to order in the last 2 years, I got some from Tom Morris. It was good stuff. I don't want to bother Tom right now. I know he had a problem a few months back, health problem.
Yeah.
And I don't want to bother him.
Well,
then I ordered some from Brodak a few weeks ago, and I got some really nice.
Did you?
132nd and 332 from them.
Well, Russ has taken over, I think, the balsa and a lot of the business that Tom had. He bought a lot of the business. Tom is, I heard that what he was doing is he was keeping the kit building, the building business, but he was kind of farming out and letting Russ take over the rest of it. So,
I like a winner. Tom needs to slow down a little bit.
Yes, he does. We need to keep him around a while.
He's a great guy.
I've always
ridiculous.
I only met Tom back. I guess it must have been 2016, 2015. I guess I don't know, somewhere in that era. Back when I was just getting into stunt, and from the minute I met him, I liked him. He's a good guy. I'd never seen him before. He walked right up to me and introduced himself and asked me if I was Rusty, and so we hit it off right away. So he's a great guy.
Yeah, that's Tom.
He's a tall rascal, but he's a great guy.
Yeah,
he is. Honest as the day.
I hope he's all right.
I hope so too. I've been I haven't called down there to bother him because what I heard, the last I heard, scared me. They said that his heart stopped. He was at dinner and his heart stopped, and his defibrillator had to shock him twice to bring him back.
Whoa!
We can't afford to lose him.
No, that defibrillator is no fun at all either.
No,
better than dying, but geez, being clobbered by that thing's gotta be an experience.
That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, I imagine it might be something akin to being hit with a the police use them taser.
Yeah,
you've been electrocuted before, John.
I've been electrocuted one time. Shocked.
Yeah, John's been electrocuted before too.
I'm the authority on electrocution.
You can have it, brother. I will gladly give that one to you.
I spent
enough for me.
I spent 6 months in the hospital for that.
The hardest I've ever been hit is when I was a child, and we had a screen porch that had a slate floor, just broken slate with some kind of cement in between, and we walled it in to make a den. My dad's my dad's man cave out of it, and so I wanted to plug something in one night. The socket was under the couch. I must have been about 10 or 11 years old.
Ooh.
And I went under that couch with a plug in my hand, and I did not have a shirt on against the late floor. So I had serious ground contact. I don't know what part of my finger was connected to that electrical outlet when I got shocked, but it was a hell of a lot more than a finger that rattled when I got hit, and all I remember is screaming, and
that's my
the next thing I knew, I'd been drug out by the ankles, and I will never ever, I won't even stand barefooted on a hardwood floor and plug a lamp in these days, after that experience. And so that's as hard as I've been hitting, and that was 120 volts and house current. So
Yeah.
But I imagine it doesn't much matter as long as you get that good ground. You got shocked, so
Yeah.
hopefully that qualifies me for the club. But I didn't lose any skin over it, though.
I can tell you, Rusty, that 110 is bad enough. 220 is even worse. At 440 will get your immediate attention. But when you hit the house service line coming in from the transformer outside, it hurts so bad, so quick, but it burns out your nerve endings. And in a matter of a few seconds, you don't have any feeling left. I still don't have much feeling in my hands. I burn my hands and get blisters all the time, and I don't even know it.
Probably a few hundredths of a second.
Huh?
It was probably a few hundredths of a second.
Yeah, it didn't last long, but it did hurt for that short time.
Steve's in the club of being electrocuted. He was telling us, you were telling us about getting hit working on an air conditioner on a roof one day. But
yes,
there's lots of us. Hell, a lot of us that have worked on electrical stuff know what it feels like. But I'm lucky never to have been hit all as hard as some of you guys have.
I was standing in water and was go through in my boots and stuff after being in it for so long, and I actually slipped and my hand went in, and my middle finger went right on a contactor, right with where the main power was bolted in.
Ooh.
That was only on a probably a 30 amp circuit. So I mean, it wasn't like what John got, and yeah, it took my memory away. I mean, like I said, I was sitting on the edge of a building 3 stories up, just sitting there on the edge smoking a cigarette, and they called me and said, "Are you on the roof smoking?" And I looked down. I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "You know you can't smoke on school property." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "Put it out right now." I'm like, "All right." So I put it out, and I'm just sitting there trying to think, why in the hell am I sitting here on this roof smoking a cigarette?
Yeah. Yeah.
Women and electricity make you do funny things.
Yeah. Enough being said about it is that if you ever do it once, you don't want to do it again.
That's darn sure.
I watched a guy get electrocuted one day working for the power company, and they were trimming some, I guess they were, I don't know what they were doing. They were working on some lines across the street, maybe running a new line or something, and one of them cut a line, and it just started dancing and swinging around and doing its own thing. I mean, it was like a loose snake up there. I heard him holler over to the other guy, and he hollered, "I thought you said this line was dead." The other guy reaches up and goes, "Is now."
Didn't we have somebody on here was it here? Somebody that had been hit with lightning?
I don't remember that, unless it was Minnesota Mike or one of those guys. Bill just came in with us. Hey, Bill. You ever been electrocuted?
No, but I was out flying control line tonight, and I noticed this dark cloud, but I didn't get too excited. And pretty soon it starts raining, and I'm trying to wind up lines while it's raining, and I thought, the heck with it. Got in the car and waited till it stopped, and I didn't start flying again until the thunder stopped.
Had to fly till the lines were dry.
There's thunder in the area. I'm going home.
You rub that cat enough, you might get a shot.
Yeah.
When I lived in California, the weather there is, sometimes it's relatively hot and it's dry, and you get a lot of static electricity, and so you'll come up and remember the old Easy just had that little wire thing right in the middle of your hand.
I've always heard about that, but it's never happened to me.
Oh, it's happened to me. You get right here and it zap, 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 zap.
Yeah, I had it happen once to me, and it was a Brodak handle with the 2 rods in it.
Yeah.
You could adjust it out, and it was the smaller handle. Well, my finger was, fairly close to that screw, within, I don't know, a 1/4 inch or so. And that thing would start, and the first time I thought I got stung by a bee or something. Kind of flying like, what the hell, And it did about 3 other times, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of static electricity in the air. It was real humid that day and stuff, and
yep. Well, you've been out there flying, going around, and you hear thunder out there, and zap, it hits you. And, the only thing you can do is get down low, until you run out of fuel. But there is a way to stop that from happening. And that is you take a little wire and you attach it to the upline, and you wrap it around your handle, and you attach it to the downline. And then you grab hold. Now you're grounded. And so what happens is the static electricity charge can't build up in there because you're grounding it off immediately. And you don't get zapped. I had a friend.
I've heard some people will fly barefoot, and that way it doesn't build up enough. It just drains through your body without you ever feeling it.
You got to get that to transfer from your lines and your plane to you. I had a friend that had a brand new Sterling Spitfire when they first came out. Built it. He spent 2 or 3 months building. He did a beautiful job, all nicely done, and he took it on the first flight. We didn't use thongs at that time. That was in the 50s. And he went up into a wing over, and right about here he got zapped, and his hand opened up, and that plane took off flying.
Oh no!
And it was funny because the handle would be here at the counterbalance, and it was flying around like that, climbing. And there's a full tank of gas. I mean, he just did a wing over. And so that thing went up till we could hardly hear it anymore. And the only thing we could see was a flash off the lines every once in a while. And then we heard, we did hear the engine stop. We didn't have cars, we had bicycles. So we jumped on our bikes, and we got glimpses of it coming down. So we headed over to where it was. I think I've told this story here. And we got where it was. Here, we're in this subdivision, and here this plane is sitting there blowing in the winds, and the lines are draped over the house, and it's missing the ground by about 1.5 feet, and there's not a bit of damage. He jumped over. There's no helm. He jumped over the backyard fence, took the handle off, and we grabbed the plane. We pulled it. We just wrapped the lines up like that, put it on the bikes, and headed home.
That's funny. I'm glad he got it back. That being a ringmaster reminds me, this is not an electrical story, but a guy builds a ringmaster and posts this on Stunthangar in the amazing stories from my early model years or something like that is the name of that section. And he builds his ringmaster, and he's taking it for its maiden flight, riding on his bicycle, and the lead out's got caught in the spokes of his rear wheel, and it just sucked the plane in and chewed it to shreds.
Yeah. That's not as bad as backing over your own airplane, though.
Oh,
No.
boy.
No.
You guys remember
I
back in
Huntersville
the
one time.
70s when nylon carpet was the big thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then at school they stuck it in on some of the side, because everything was always tile. And on the side kickoff hallways, they put in carpet. Well, that was back when plastic bottom shoes came in. We'd skid
Reach
our
out and
feet.
touch you, buddy, and shock a fire out of them.
Yeah, you skid your feet and come up behind somebody to their ear.
Oh,
Ah,
Oh,
Yeah, we used to do that all the time.
I'm surprised you're still walking.
oh.
All right, let's get back to airplanes now.
All right, I got an airplane one.
Okay.
All right, Tom.
I tried the navigator after I changed the angle of the engine, and I still couldn't get it off the water. It was
Really?
it drove around on the water just great. I couldn't get it to fly.
Got a
There's just
suggestion for you.
So much drag from the water, and it just wouldn't break.
When you first took it out, you were dragging some leaves around, and finally got loose from them and got it off the off of the water, didn't you?
And that was built as the plan showed, and as soon as it took off, it was climbing really steep, and so I changed the angle of the engine. I decreased the, it was pitched up about 3 degrees, so I kind of neutralized it, so it might be a half a degree up still, but anyway, it's a lot less than it was. And I thought that would help, but it didn't help. And I tried different pitch props, and I tried a bunch of stuff. Couldn't get it to take off the water.
Can you put about a degree of the upthrust back into it?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Take some of the spacers out that I have in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is it just the underbody of the airplane, or is it set on 2 floats, or how does this?
It's the navigator. So it's a single hull with just tip floats on the wings.
Yeah.
It's a flying boat, basically.
Yeah, flying boat, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to go out there and you got to create some chop out there so you can get her off.
Now, I should say that I added a lot of weight to it because I added a video camera to it.
Oh, that might be it.
Wow.
And that might be part of the problem, too. I got lots of video driving around on the water.
Well,
Like a little tail light.
you could have put a line off the back control with it.
Yeah, I seen a thing on boats and stuff, and they're talking about floats on airplanes where they stepped like the hull, come back and just come in a little bit and step in, and it does something to release suction. It'll make a boat so much faster, and once it's up on plane, that it loses.
Well, what you're talking about is getting it up. They call getting it up on step. The step is put there just right in front of or right behind the CG. It's right in that area though. The idea is you get it going fast enough that it gets up on step. Now you don't have all the drag of the fuselage down there and very little drag in front of it. And so it's now easier to rotate and break free. And so if he made it too heavy, he needs to make more horsepower up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get it fixed. I just had to tell you my story.
Oh yeah, well, for a guy like you, you'll get it. Yeah.
You might try to roughen it up. They're seeing like shark skin, on real sharks. It's real rough. And they tested it and how much easier it goes through the water. And that's why they said like scales on fish.
Divots on a golf ball.
They overlap, and that that bump causes some kind of a break in the suction of like side suction on them.
Well, dolphins though don't have that, but dolphins have a layer of fat there, and at speed their skin has this flexibility, like a little wrinkling effect, or whatever, at speed,
Yeah.
which helps them.
That was the same thing, but yeah, they were saying, you know, different fish, the ones that are really fast, how their skin and scales and stuff are shaped to give them, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know when I played with seaplanes, the whole key is to get it up on step.
Yeah.
You got to get it up on step before you can rotate.
Yep.
And if you don't have enough horsepower to get up on step, or if the water's flat and glassy and you got to get some turbulence in the water, you go make high speed runs in big circles and get the little wavelets going, then you can get on there. That helps you break the suction.
Is this electric or glow?
It's electric.
I was gonna say, yeah, if it was an IC, you could take a tube and run from your muffler and put it right in front of the boat, so it blows bubbles there.
But you could if you got a slightly bigger motor, you could put in there a little bit more power, a little bit bigger prop, a little more pitch or something, you know.
Well, the other thing is right now it's 4th of July tomorrow. Get one of them big ass bottle rockets, tie it on, you know.
Big assist, yeah.
Yeah, get you some little assist of jumping up there.
Put one on each wing and tilt it down just a little bit.
Just make sure you cut the end of it off where the explosion part's at.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like the time I put the Chateau on my 67 Impala.
No, you didn't do that.
You don't think I did?
No, you couldn't have done it. You're still alive.
This is true. I did read about it, though.
Yeah, that was the guy who won the Darwin Award.
Darwin, yeah.
Yeah.
I did fly another plane tonight, and I put the video camera on that plane, and it makes it fly a lot. I mean, it's a lot of weight because I've got the camera kind of out on the wing, and then I had to add weight to the tip of the other wing to balance it. So it ends up being probably maybe a little over 5 ounces of weight.
Damn.
Wow.
So anyway,
what camera is it, Tom?
it's a Mobius camera, but I got it out on a boom, and so I can get it the camera facing the airplane and stuff.
You have to get you one of them little drone cameras.
Anyway, I started the camera up, and then I kind of, my dock's kind of high off the water. The water's kind of low right now. And I dropped the plane into the water, and I think when it hit, it shut the camera off because I didn't get any footage at all.
What did you do? Go underwater and then come back up?
Oh, no. It didn't get wet. But I had this whole flight, and I thought, okay, now I've got all this video captured. I come in, plug it into the computer, nothing.
Best laid plans.
Man, there's some serious fireworks going on outside of my house tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it might. Yeah, I got it going here too. If the dog starts barking too much and you guys hear him or hear her, I'll shut down. And
That might be the revolution starting, And that's all I'll say about that.
So I've flown this
That's what
buster
happened
now.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so I've flown the buster now a few times, and that Fox 35, it sure shakes a lot. I balanced the prop. It might have helped a little bit, but it just seems
It'll
like
shake it'll shake the paint off of it.
oh,
Yeah, that's Fox 35. That's what they do.
okay.
once they're broke in, then they tend not to shake as bad. But when
Well, I'm sure this is broke in, and it's like 40 years old, or it hasn't run in that long, and it seems like, you start it out, it's kind of rich, and then it gets up in the air and it starts leaning out some, and then the thing really goes. But can't seem to quite, if I get the rich on the ground, it barely takes off, but then it starts after about 1 or 2 laps, it's going really fast.
Yeah, it's not broke in. That's the one thing with a Fox. If you read the old directions, it's got to hold its speed from
Well,
start to
there's
finish.
another thing going on there. There's another thing going on there that you might consider, and that is
Have a lot of oil. You have to have at least 25% oil with those engines, or they're not going to run reliably.
what kind of tank do you have on it? Are you running a standard vented tank? Are you running a uniflow tank? Are you running muffler pressure?
It has no muffler.
Fox 35. Come on, John.
Yeah,
The thing is, remember when you had a standard vented tank, it'd speed up as the fuel load was burning up.
Yeah.
It would speed up, and at the end of it, it's really whipping. So that is something that will happen there, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old tank. I think I got a newer one I could try.
Muffler pressure with a Fox.
Well, I've done it, and I've done it off muffler pressure into uniflow.
But the Foxes despise Fox 35s despise mufflers to begin with.
Well, yeah, but they'll run on it, and you can get them run pretty good. You gotta, like you said, you gotta have enough oil, and they prefer caster.
Yep.
A lot of guys run, 26, 27, 28% oil, but they'll usually run about 3% of that. At least it will be synthetic to help keep it clean. But yeah, it has to have that. But you can run
broken in. You run it on regular old Power Master 1022, and it runs okay. But
It runs great.
got to be broken in. Another thing I like to tell people that are running Foxes that have been sitting on the shelf for 20 or 30 years is to make sure the conrod's not glued with varnish to the wrist pin, because that'll wallow out it'll egg out the hole in the sides of the piston. So I usually like to flip them upside down and fill the piston with a little oil, WD-40 or something, and heat it with a torch in one hand and just pull and push with some hemostats until I make sure it breaks loose and will slide back and forth on the wrist pin, so it doesn't egg out that hole in the piston.
when it eggs out the hole in the piston, that could make it vibrate a bit.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's so much play in the, back and forth in the front end. I mean, I realize it's a plain bearing engine, but yeah, is that just the way they are?
No, is it blowing fuel out the front of the engine?
I guess I hadn't noticed that, but
If it's that loose, that more than likely.
If it's got a bad nosebleed, you might be losing too much crankcase pressure because of that. But check it. You don't want. I couldn't give you a number. I know on little Cox engines, 0.022 inches is the optimum number for whatever they call it. It's not washout. But you should have that much back and forth play to it. So, on a Fox,
thin steel washer in the front if there's too much play.
Well,
you can. I would add one if it had too much play
Between the crankcase and the back plate of the prop.
you can buy those things off of eBay so darn cheap. I don't. It's not like if you had a real engine like an OS 35S.
yeah. So you can see here probably even.
I can hear it.
Oh yeah.
It's no good.
It's no good. Yeah.
That's too much. Can you put a washer in there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Another one of those steel washers like the one that's probably already in it. make sure it's got one. Does it have one now
Well,
behind the drive plate?
it's not going back and forth. It's going up and down. The washer ain't going to do nothing for up and down. It'll do for front and back.
Can you
No, it is
rock
going
that?
front and back.
Huh?
Can
It
you
is
rock
front
that
and
prop?
back.
Can you rock that prop?
What's that?
Can you grab the bottom of the prop and see if you can get it? Hold the prop vertical. See if you can get it to go point up and point down. No, not that way. I want to see if it's doing this.
Wiggle it and see if it rocks back and forth.
No, he's talking about the side load for the bearing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wallered out.
oh, I don't know. It always seems that way.
That seems tight. It's in and out. The crankshaft's moving in and out of the engine.
Oh,
Does it have a thrust washer on it?
It doesn't look like it.
No,
You're gonna have to take the prop off and see if there's there's a washer behind the thrust washer there.
It's like
Isn't that kind of a thin steel washer?
oh,
no. You see
Yeah.
the OS 35 stunt engine, the OS 35, it has between the prop
Thrust washer.
thrust washer.
washer, yeah.
It's got a really, you can see that. It's got a washer that's really thin. If I hold it sideways, you can almost not even see it. But
Yeah.
that washer sits on the crank over here, there, and then the thrust washer goes in front of
Yeah.
that.
It's in between,
Right.
in
But
that
it's a
gap right
really,
there.
it's like really thin. It's a really thin washer. It's like you're not going to get something that you find at Home Depot behind there.
Yeah,
So,
you don't want this
You
prop
might fit
you
one
want the
on
prop to
that
move
box.
in and out this way,
Or
or like Tom, I think it was saying you don't want to be able to wiggle the tip of it this way either. He was telling you to wiggle it like that.
Even with the washer in there, this OS 35 has not been run so much. But you can see how much it pops out, and when I push it back in, out, and
Yeah.
even that still has some play in it. But the washer does take up somewhat of that.
Yeah.
It's just so basically it's so that you have to make sure that the back the crank pin on the back or the crank pin that's on the crankshaft doesn't actually touch or rub against the back plate of the engine.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's it's only got a tiny bit. It should have a little front to back motion, but not much.
yeah.
I can do mine a little bit, but it doesn't have any side to side.
Yeah, it shouldn't have any
Movement,
side to side or up and down wiggle.
Hey, Charles.
wiggle to it.
Well, I think I should
Everybody.
invest in a new engine. I mean, I'm going to need it for other planes.
See if you can find an Enya 29 or 35.
Oh, Jesus, those things last forever, but you have to break them in like for 3 days.
Yeah, but if he buys one off of eBay that's already broken in, buy a clean one. But kind of look in there, see if you can pick up a good used 29 or 35. You'll never wear it out in your lifetime,
That's the truth.
unless you run it with no oil at all.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you what, I
It'll
want.
break in pretty quick. It'll break in pretty quick like that.
I had an Enya 35, and it was the one that came with the 3 Venturis that you could change out the head.
And the two heads.
So we had it on a clown and put that on, and it was too damn heavy. I mean, it was nose heavy as hell. Got to balance, but we took it out and flew it, and my brother's flying it, and the propeller came off, and it went into a shaft run like you could not believe, and it finally quit. And I just thought, well, that motor's done.
No.
So
I'm in you.
we started walking the circle and stuff, trying to find everything. And we found the prop and the nut, and Samantha found the thrust, the little washer behind the thrust washer. Put it all back together, put the prop on, first flip, fired up, took right off.
Wow.
They're tough engines.
But I couldn't believe, I never heard anything turn that kind of RPM. It had a whistle to it.
Like a turbine, wasn't it?
Trying to become a jet.
Yeah, it takes forever to break them in, but once they're broke in, you can't wear them out.
Yeah. Bill, that's something you might look for, you know. Or they show up on eBay often.
Yeah.
And you could even get a newer one.
Yeah.
That the holes still are the same and everything. That's a 30. That's a ball bearing 30 there. But yeah, I love Inyas.
Huh.
I think I saw an Enya 35 on eBay today. I was looking. I think I saw one or two.
But
And of course, yeah, even with a Fox 35, your de facto standard prop is a 10.6.
A lot of guys back in the day were using 10.5s, but they didn't tell you that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Closely guarded secret.
With a
I
Fox
never
35,
could. I never could get a Fox to run on a 10.6. I always use
No,
10.5.
I've had good luck with 10.5s and 9.6s.
Yeah, 9.6 or a 10.5, but never a 10.6 like it says in the.
I used to run my old McCoy 35 Redhead though on a 10.5 or 10.6.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
boys will run all day long in a 10.6, but a Fox won't.
Yeah.
At least I can never get any of mine to run on a 10.6.
When I started out, I wanted a Fox so bad because I'd heard their reputation and they were supposed to be so good in that. One of my flying buddies got one, and he put it on there, and he would flip that thing and flip and flip and flip. And he'd flip it, you know, for half a minute or so before you get it to run. And I'd go over to my old McCoy, you know, and prime it, and boop, boop, and it was running, you know. The thing, I was fortunate with my McCoy that I had an older mentor there that told me how to run the darn thing. He says, it's not a race engine, it's a stunt engine, and he showed me how to set it for takeoff. It was 4-stroking on takeoff. It was 4-stroking so much that I'd pull up for the reverse wing over, and I wasn't sure it was going to make it over the top. You know, come
I
up
hate
and
that feeling.
get about 60 degrees and just start free flighting over the top.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that was just part of flying in those days.
Yeah. Pretty
So
much.
I wonder if this isn't a combat engine because it's got the insert in it. You can take out and it's the
Wait,
right.
does it have a square venturi?
Fox.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a square Venturi.
yeah.
That's an X.
Yeah, that's a combat
You
engine.
gotta- That's a 36X, I think.
It
Does it
sure
say
looks like
36 on the
35
other
is
side?
printed on it, but
Is it
But
ball
that's
bearing in
that
the front
way.
end?
You don't want to run
Oh.
away with the Venturi insert.
Huh.
It will run away with you.
I'll tell you. I'll talk to John Paris when he gets back and find out how to make that a stunt motor, and it's really easy. And I think you got to leave that deal in there, and you have to add so many head shims to it. And John runs that in classic or old time, one of the two, wins all the time with it. I think it's in classic. But that combat motor runs so good. Nobody
Oh, yeah,
ever,
the combat engines were wonderful.
they're like, what engine is that? Fox 36. And they're like, what? But yeah, I mean, you drop the compression a little bit and then have it with the insert in it so it can still draw fuel.
so somebody else said that they had put an insert in a 35 and it ran or a head gasket.
gracious.
Another.
They got a look what Peter's got up. He's got a square intake on it like that engine.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what it
seeing
looks
Peter.
like.
There you go.
Yep.
Is Peter screen sharing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I see the black screen.
Yeah, the 36X and the
Oh,
Combat,
there it is.
was it Mach 1 or something 1 or 3 and 4 and 5 and 6?
Great motors.
Yeah, they were the better Foxes to have.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah, I
that will, you
Yeah,
can
ran
read
that Fox.
what I got. That's what
I
I
ran really good.
was showing y'all.
but that's why it's taken
That's what
off
I've got
at the
sitting here
end.
right in front of me now.
Yep.
$32.
Cheap.
Yep.
I remember when Fox 35s were $12.95 and a McCoy 35 Redhead was $5.95.
Yeah.
No wonder I had $5.95 for the Redhead. $12.95 was, hey, that was my week's gas money and my date money for Saturday night in the movies with my sweetie.
Yeah, 29. That was some heck of an engine.
What kind of car did you have for date night?
I had all kinds of cars. You know, my first car I ever bought was a 1951 Studebaker Commander, and it had the V8 motor in it. It was a sleeper. It had an overhead valve V8, 232 cubes, and it would do 85 miles an hour or better in a quarter mile. And so when I first brought it to school,
That was a surprisingly powerful V8, I believe, in that Studebaker.
it was, and it also had the overdrive in it, so you could fake them out. See, because you go through the gears, then you reach down, and pull the overdrive off. And they thought you had 4-speed in it.
Mm-hmm. Did you
But
have a necking knob on the steering wheel so you could turn it with one hand like that? So you could, if you let go of it and didn't move your hand, though, you could break your knuckles if it spun back.
Yeah. Well, we call that a dago now, but the starter, you push the clutch all the way down. There's a little ear that came off the clutch pedal. It was like the dimmer switch, but that was the starter. That's how you hit the starter on. You push the clutch all the way down, push on it, and then it engaged the starter. But I had fun when I first took it to school. People, you know, the guys with the 55 Fords and the Chevys and that, they were in a class of their own. But there's all these guys that had the 53 Chevys, 52s, things like that. You know, and they couldn't race the other guys, but they saw somebody come with a Studebaker. They thought for sure they was going to wipe the road up with me. And I got challenged that first 2 days. I got challenged all kinds of drag races, and I cleaned clocks. It was after that they didn't want to race me anymore.
Did it have big bumper bullets on it?
You what do you mean by bumper bullets?
I mean the big breast-like things on the front of the bumper.
It would look like
Protrusions.
Yeah, it had that, and it had the spinner knob thing in the center, you know, and
Oh yeah.
and then the fenders came out, yeah, it was an interesting looking car. It was that I had a 48 Chevy convertible that I had when I was in high school. Loved that little car. Yeah, it was we call it a bathtub, you know, rolling bathtub. I couldn't afford to get a new top for it. It needed a top, so it always went everywhere with the top down. Rain, sun, didn't matter. And let's see what other car did I have. I had a 57. No, right after I got out of high school, I had a 57 Pontiac, one of the real early tri-powers. You know, they didn't have a bunch of them out.
That was a big car, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a boat. Yeah, you look out there, you had all this steel out in front of you, you know, and that. It wasn't as, it didn't seem to be as big a boat as the 57 Buick, though. The Buick was, oh, looked like a brontosaurus, and it was all chromed up. You remember that? All that chrome on that Buick. Oh my goodness.
I always thought those cars were terribly heavy, but it just turned out they just had lousy brakes.
I thought so too, but I walked up to a guy at a car show, and he had a 58 Sky Chief or a Fire Chief, which was a Pontiac, and I asked him, "What does this thing weigh? About 4,500 pounds?" And I think he told me no, about 38. I thought, oh, damn, it's comparatively lighter than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, the Pontiacs, you know, I only had that one Pontiac until years later, but it had a 348 V8 in it. Same thing that the Chevys had prior to the 350s.
Yeah, which was only a 300-pound engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Leno, was it yesterday? I was watching Jay Leno's garage, and he had a 63 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. You could set 4 people across in the front seat and the back seat.
Yep.
Folks.
Yeah, those were just
how much wider that car, you know, they showed it by the other cars how much wider the car was.
Yeah.
4 abreast.
Wow.
Remember, what was it? American Motors had that little car that they bragged about how wide it was. What was that?
Pacer.
Pacer, yeah, a little compact car.
Oh God, the fishbowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, fishbowl, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one car you couldn't pick your nose in, that's for sure.
They had another one though. Not the Javelin. It was like a hatchback or whatever back then.
Oh yeah. Gremlin.
Yeah.
My brother's friend had one of them with a V8 in it. They made one with a V8. Talk about
it looked like they cut the back end of it off. Yeah, they had a V8. Gordon Delaney was a big drag racer. He had not the Gremlin. What was the other one you mentioned? The
AMX.
Javelin.
AMX, Javelin. Yeah.
AMX. Okay.
And he loved that thing. He did a lot of drag racing with that.
Well, it was like that Gremlin. He put headers and stuff on it and a bigger carburetor, and that little car, you know, was like a Pinto.
Remember the Dodge? Remember the Dodge Dart?
Yeah,
I had a Dodge Dart. I had a Dodge Dart Swinger.
Yeah, and it had a 6-cylinder in it, but it was pretty sprightly. This thing would move along pretty darn good.
a buddy of mine has a Dodge. I work with has a Dodge Dart with a Hemi in it, but it's not the 426. It's one of the other ones that they put in. But
they made all different
really go.
My Dodge
They
Dart
made
had
all different sizes of Hemis.
Well, two of you talking there. What were you saying, Charles?
my Dodge Dart had a 318 in it.
Those were good.
Yeah.
That was a nice, light, quick engine.
Yeah.
There was I had a friend in Wisconsin. He had one of those Fieros, Pontiac Fieros.
Yeah.
And he wound up putting a lightweight Buick, with the aluminum block Buick V8 in there. Boy, that made a runner out of that thing.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Oh yeah.
That was when I had my Fiero. That was the best driving car for a long distance.
Was it?
I mean, it rode down, it floated down the road. It would handle good, but it wasn't real choppy. And something about the seat configurations or whatever that, you know, I could drive that thing for hours on end and not have any fatigue.
Wow.
What it is that every 3 months the clutch would go out. 3 months later, the slave unit would go out.
Yeah.
Then the clutch would go out. Then the slave unit would go out.
Yeah.
Then the moon roof would leak, and that son of a bitch was in more than I had it.
I sat in one of my. I was thinking about buying one when I went and sat in it, and the top of my head was probably darn near bumping on the roof line there, and I decided no, if I'm tall, but I'm not you know, I'm not that big from my waist up, you know, so most guys sitting next to me were shoulder to shoulder, you know, and so I figured I couldn't fit in the damn thing. I can't imagine how, but you had to be pretty small, I would think, to fit in comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the mid-engine car?
Yeah, that was a mid-engine car.
Yeah.
We've got a guy here that goes to the car shows with us. He's got one of those he's converted and put a 350 V8 in the back of it. When he nails it, the torque of the motor plants the rear tires. That sucker is stuck to the road.
Oh, yeah, yeah, duh.
But I'd hate to have to work on that thing. He raises that little tiny hood, and you look down there and see that motor, and you think, how in the heck do you change the spark plugs in this thing? Man.
I remember seeing
discuss things like that.
I remember seeing a Corvair, the Monza Coupe.
Yeah.
It was converted to a mid-engine.
Mm-hmm.
It had a V8.
My dad had 2 or 3 of those.
Had a V8 in the back seat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I never rode in it, but I imagine that was a noisy, hot son of a gun.
Tell you what,
yeah, my dad had 3 or 4 of those Corvairs, but it had an air-cooled boxer in it, I think.
6-cylinder.
One V8.
6-cylinder boxer motor, yep.
Nah, I was thinking 4, but maybe it was 6.
It was 6.
6-cylinder. You had a 110, a 120, and a 140.
People put 327s in them.
Then you had
There
a
was
180 turbocharger.
Kit for a 327.
We used to take those engines when I was in Alaska, and we'd build airboats. And
I don't know how you
slide across the snow.
Well, you know, the only thing you had to do was try to route that, you know, that belt that goes around and back up and around and all that.
Yeah, for the fan.
Yeah, that was the hard thing to route on an airboat. But they made great airboats, you know. We used airboats a lot in Alaska because you could run up, you know, way up the rivers. Heck, you could actually get up there, and if you got in a swamp, you could run right out onto the wet grass, you know. And it's funny, the moose and that you'd come by on an airboat, they just stand there and watch you, you know. And
I wonder what these stupid humans are trying to do now.
They didn't understand what they were, and they didn't see it posing in a danger. It was easy to get you moose.
Yeah.
Hey, Troy, I got a question for you.
Unfortunately, these days,
I might have an answer for you.
We sit here and we reminisce. Unfortunately, these days, you know, kids don't even have the advantages these days that we had. I mean, you know, if you go back and you think back when you were like, you know, 16, 17, 18 years old, you could find somebody that had a junker, some old, you know, 60s at that point, or 60s or even a 50s junker that you could turn around and get for like sometimes you could trade for it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it may have been one of your family and they just gave it to you because they were not using it. They had enough of that car. They were going to upgrade. And then you could take this basically sleeper 6-cylinder box Nova and be able to do anything the hell you wanted with it because it was so simple to do. I mean, you know, you think back with, you know, box Nova had a straight 6 or a slant 6, you know, engine in it. You can rip that sucker out and pretty much do whatever you wanted because it was straight carburation. It was no electronic ignition at the time.
Yeah.
And you could do, and you could build your hot rods. Kids nowadays don't have that option really. Everything is fuel injected, electronic ignitions, electronic transmissions. I mean, unless you have money and daddy's got a bunch of money that you can throw a whole bunch of aftermarket parts into it, there is not a lot that, you know, kids these days or young adults can actually get in there with their own hands and be able to do. And it's kind of sad in a way.
Well, you're right, Peter. If you're going to go back to the old hot rodding days, you got to go back to a car that existed before they had all the computer stuff. But when did they start doing the computer stuff? I think if you can get back to 70s, you're okay. 70s car. I think you get much newer in the 70s car while you run into the problems.
I mean, you know, I had a friend of mine who like had 69, 1970 Camaros and he used to make dragsters out of them. He could find, you know, a body that had, you know, at least a rolling chassis that was halfway good, and they'd rip the whole interior out of it, and it was there was no electronics, no engine control computer or engine control unit or body control unit that had to be fiddled with or modified or whatever. It was just like rip it out at a 396 and throw a 402, god damn it, and build a dragster.
Well,
I
also,
remember-
the parts were made out of metal. Now
Yeah.
the body parts are made out of plastic, and the sun deteriorates it, destroys it. But if you got a title to a '69 Camaro or a '70 Camaro, you can go to Chevrolet and buy every piece to build that car. You just restore the car from the ground up. All you need is a title number.
Yeah, but kids don't have
title
that.
at about $180,000.
Yeah,
That's probably true.
I remember going over buddies. I was still in high school, going over
Yeah, that
buddies'
is
garage, and he and
very
his
true,
dad were
isn't it?
building that little drag rail, and that car was built off of a Triumph, the British Triumph,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a small mini rail, and they built everything. They shortened the axles, everything was built by them in their garage. I don't know if they ever finished it, but it sure looked neat.
Yeah, I used to
Triumph
autocross a
Spitfire is
lot.
my favorite car. I had a Triumph Spitfire for at least 11 years.
Triumph Spitfire was kind of overlooked, wasn't it, there, Charles?
They
yeah.
were.
Yeah, but that was a fun car to drive. Oh, that was the funnest car. And,
Yeah.
My fondest memories driving with that Spitfire.
The problem with the Spitfire is, though, now today for us, you can't get your darn airplane and your girlfriend both in the darn car.
Yeah,
You couldn't back then.
yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what's happening up in Canada there, Len?
Well, it's pretty hot here right now.
Did you just have Canada Day here?
Yes.
Yes, we did. We had Canada Day for sure.
Good.
Had a little barbecue. We did the social distancing thing and ate sausages and salads. It was good.
That's exactly what I had. Hey, Trey and Lynn, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good. Rusty, you're breaking up.
Doing okay here,
Hey,
Russ.
Trey and Lynn, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing fine. Everything is good.
Saw your
Steve, you want to ask me something, Steve?
Yeah. Have you looked into graphene at all?
What are you
what?
doing?
Graphene?
What are you doing? Sound check, Lynn?
Graphene.
Graphene.
Okay.
Graphene?
Oh, the
Like
graphene
the-
batteries?
Oh, wow.
No, not really.
Well, no. It's what they make the batteries
Trey
out
and
of.
Lynn,
Hold on.
how you guys
Yeah, I know.
doing tonight?
Hold on.
Carbon nanotube. Graphene.
Yeah.
You're out of sync again, Rusty.
Yeah, you're out of sync. It sounds awful.
doing banjos.
Steve, no, not really. Yeah, we are just stuck with that. We are using the ProLite Thunder Power's 2800 milliamps, and that's kind of like what we are using right now, and works great for us.
Yeah, well, what I seen on TV last night is that they were showing car body parts made out of graphene.
Okay.
It's single layers of carbon that they do up, and they said that the new electric cars, the whole car will be made out of carbon, and it makes it one giant battery.
Okay.
I wondered if you're looking at it at all to put it with carbon fiber or something. When you mold your wings, that the wing would be the battery, or stuff like that. I mean, or the fuselage would be the battery. But I don't know how heavy it is, or I just wondered if you heard about it or we're looking into it. But I guess you can mold it and everything.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's I didn't know if you heard about it or not, but I seen it on TV last night, and they were talking about how the electric cars are coming around and how these scientists figured out how to make graphene. They first just took lead out of pencils and put it between tape. And and just kept sticking it and unsticking it until they got one layer of it. And they found out that it would generate a charge. And you could charge it and discharge it.
Will hold the charge.
But they said that this stuff will charge as fast as you could fill your gas tank with gasoline.
One
Yeah,
molecule effect. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that would be something positive. Yeah. But the question I have for you is that I know batteries are very tricky and they go bad eventually. And what do you do? You throw a plane away? Another question I have for you.
Can y'all hear me okay?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. What if you put a scratch on it? What if you cut it out a little bit?
Yeah,
There goes your battery.
I was just wondering if you heard about it or was looking into it.
No.
You could sandwich it underneath a piece of carbon fiber. Have carbon fiber over the graphene. You know, and I don't know how much you'd have to have with the whole airplane have to be done with it, or could you make a cowl or something out of it and use it as a battery? And if it does go bad, you make another cowl. You know, replaceable part on the airplane that would, you know, that would work. I just wondered if you heard anything about it. I know
I didn't hear anything about it. I know about the graphene batteries that they're coming up with, but that's about it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Tran, I saw a picture of your Revolution recently, all painted up and everything. Looks real good.
Thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, thanks, appreciate that.
No problem.
I went out yesterday to do some practice, and I was waiting for a nice day to do it for a while now. So what happened?
Carbon fiber is a pretty good conductor, isn't it? Wouldn't it sort it out?
Yeah.
Did you get your pretty day?
So how'd the flying go there, Tran?
I'm sorry?
So how did your flying go today?
No, it wasn't today. It was yesterday. I just so last week when I went out flying, there were like 2 layers of wind. One was going in this direction, and the other one was going this direction, right?
On Wikipedia about.
And there was also turbulence. So when I was trying to do something with the plane was very kind of a bit every little bit of a turbulence it would show it to you. It would just show it right away. And so what I did that day, I started to move the CG forward a little bit.
Hear me okay?
No.
Yeah. Rusty, you're talking over people again.
You're talking over people, Rusty.
So it was not. I mean, it was tracking okay, but the turbulence was just doing a number on it. So I started to push the battery forward a little bit at a time, and it started to just calm me down all of a sudden, and then it just like boom, it locked in. And I said, if this is turbulent air, it's kind of crappy air, and I lock it in right here, that's probably a good CG position to use. And so I decided to. I took the battery, I moved it up forward another about 3/8 of an inch or so, which just moved my CG even more forward from that position, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so, a little bit less maybe. It was not much, anyways, it's just a small amount, just to give it a tiny bit extra, right, on the safe side. So what I did yesterday, I put Len to sleep first.
He didn't last long, did he?
Damn, he didn't last long at all.
No, he's.
We should take a picture and put it here.
He just screenshot that.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So
yesterday what I did, I said, okay, so I have a CG that's locked in, and I said I'm going to use the CG, and now I'm going to trim the plane around the CG.
Right.
Okay. So I start putting flights on it, try to get my lead out position and stuff like that. But it seems like the machine is so sensitive to small changes that it shows them to you instantly. And if I'm 1/8 of an inch on one side, I'm too far back, and 1/8 inch forward, I'm too far forward. So it's very narrow range. So I was going this way, and I was jumping over it, going over there. I was like, what's going on here? So it took me quite a few flights to figure it out, and I said, I see what's going on. So finally, I got my lead out position perfectly over there. I took some tip weight out of it, and then I was looking at the plane. I mean, it's tight on the inside, a little bit loose on the outsides. I started to do some clovers with it. The third one was kind of loose, and I said, I don't really like this. So I just tweaked my flaps a little bit. I just got my, just tweaked them a little bit, and then I had like equal line tension inside and outsides. Just man, the plane was just fantastic to fly from that point on.
Oh,
And then I was working on something else because I was turning faster on the outsides and slower on the insides. So I did some more change.
Trying.
Yeah. What was the question?
How hot is it there in
Somebody just got passed out right there. Like Len is not.
Yeah, we were talking planes now, so he's bored to death. So what happened is like I was turning faster on the outside and slower on the insides, and I just took my push rod adjustments and stuff like that. And now it's turning equally in both sides. Line tension is perfect on both sides. It just tracks nicely. And finally, at the end of the of everything, I start to evaluate the how fast it corners and how well it suits my flying style and stuff like this. So all I did, I just dial in a little bit more elevator throw, and I was back in business instantly. So
how
I was dead tired.
How hot is it there, Tryon? What's the temperature?
I think it was 85, 90 degrees outside, and the air was very thin.
Yeah,
because
that's what I was wondering too. If you're going to have to keep track of,
yes,
if the air gets that thin,
it was very thin. Yeah, it was definitely very
it's so hot here. We can't. It's like 94 degrees. Today, my electronic thermometer said it was 99. I mean, if you went out in the sun for 10 minutes, I mean, it was just so hot, and
yeah. Well, what I noticed, Steve, is that you have the barometric pressure, the air pressure that surrounds, right? So in an electric flight, you have the target RPM in which the controller is being commanded to turn. So even if you turn the same RPM as before, because the air is thinner, is not pulling the plane through the air as fast. So I was like, what the heck is going on here? And I said, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. And I didn't check to see what was before, right? So I speed it up. It was considered. I mean, I noticed there was flying faster now, right? It was obvious, and I said, "Let me see how fast I am," because I had a target. I was going to about 5.4 second lap time, and I'm turning on my stopwatch. I'm looking at it. It's like, what the hell? This is the same speed I was before. I mean, it was programmed before, anyways, but I was not going at that speed. I was slower. And I was like, I started to think about it. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And then I realized, like, it's thinner air. I just don't have the drive from the propeller that it used to be there before.
I think Lon did too much of the Canada Day or whatever.
Yeah. So, anyways, but by the time I was done with it, I was back up to speed. The line tension was good, equal on the inside, outside, nice corner. I'm not maxed out on a corner. I can do a lot more than what I have right now, a lot more. But I just would be too hard to control. But right now is just right. I mean, I like it. And the last 3 flights, I changed the flight time again to 5 minutes 30 seconds, and I put the full flights in it back to back, like 3 full flights back to back. And just from what I see from the circle, I don't have a judge or something like that. They were perhaps just on par with the best flights that I've ever put so far. So
Wow.
very solid flying.
Don't use up all those good flights and practice before you get to the net.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna take care of the dog because I got to turn the TV up to kind of kill the sound of fireworks. So I'll see everybody Monday.
Steve, you made it through the whole evening without another quarter.
I can.
Going.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
I turned a new page in my
I knew
life.
something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing good, Steve.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
See you,
Good
Steve.
night.
Take care, Steve.
Good night. Lenny's saying good night too.
Yeah, it's
Or maybe not.
All right, I got everything reset.
Bill, I saw you're flying. Adventures in flying control line.
So the question I have for the group, like me, I started when I was like 10 years old with the other kids, flying the 049s. And, there really wasn't any adults doing it. And then we got into the RC, but other people that were flying control line, how did you get better? I mean, was there a club in your area, or how did you get to where you were doing the aerobatics and that?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think you're not going to learn it on 049 powered motor models.
No.
I'll stop right there.
That teaches you how to fly around in circles good and do a few things. But if you want to fly in any type of competition, or if you just want to fly really competition style fun fly, you really need to fly with some other people.
Yeah.
So they can see what you're doing and you can talk about it, and they can give you hints about what you can do to do better, or things like that. In my case, back in the 50s when I was a teenager, we wound up, guys would hear the motor running, they'd come over and, I got one of those. And within a month or two, we had a small club going, and we'd fly every Saturday and Sunday sometimes, and we critique flights, and that worked for us. You need to have you need to have somebody.
I've reset everything.
Yeah, you need to have somebody that's critiquing your flight and that knows what they're looking for and can teach you. I think.
Hey, can y'all hear what I'm saying when I say it now?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Your mouth's moving, but we're not seeing anything come out.
Until later on. So, Bill, what I want to say is that, okay, apparently, from what I see, probably just okay on a takeoff, level flight, landing, kind of thing like that, right?
Yeah,
right?
And the planes I have, I can do some loops, but then sometimes I don't even make that.
But can you do the loops?
I was a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Most of the time, yeah.
It
seemed like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's what I have to say. You need a plane that's going to take you to the next level. First of all, if you don't have a plane that's outflying you, you cannot grow up. Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't have a plane that's not trimmed, you cannot grow up either, because you're fighting the plane. You're not flying the plane. Okay. And you might need some help over there on trimming a plane or getting up and So the bigger the planes are, the easier they are to fly. But there's no substitute to that.
Yeah.
So if I were in your place, I would probably look at my next plane to be like a SIG Twister. That would be perfect next plane for you. And if you want to think about doing it electric, so you can absolutely eliminate any worries about the motor running well, running bad, running like stuff like that. People that don't have experience, if you have people around you with experience that can help you, it's one thing. If you don't, it's better to eliminate that worry. Okay. So I say like a SIG twister with an electric setup in it would be wonderful. Now, uh, so it's going to be a good flying plane with a good power system on it, bulletproof. So all you have to worry about is just fly it. Okay? All you have to worry is just fly it. Do you have any other pilots that are around you? Anything?
No.
What? Okay. Okay, that's that's kind of crap, So
Yeah.
You might want to introduce somebody, a buddy, or so you get another pilot around you.
Yeah. What area? Where are you from? From
It's southeast Minnesota.
Okay, Southeast Minnesota. I don't know anybody in Southeast Minnesota.
Well, Minneapolis might be the best.
Yeah, there's a club there, the Piston Poppers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
How far are you from that?
I don't know. Probably at least 2-3 hours.
Wow.
Would not be a bad idea. I mean, it's not really 2
at some
hours. Is
point.
not that bad, even 3 if you start early in the morning. It's worth the time that you spend to go over there. So probably I'd say build a twister, put an electric motor on it, and start putting flights on it. I mean, just and as you put the flights on a plane, start safe with it. A little bit extra tip weight is not a bad idea, Put an adjustable lead outs on a plane, although the plane doesn't come with adjustable lead outs. I say add that. You must add that to the plane. Okay, all you have to do is just cut a slot where on a wingtip, buy one of those Brodak lead outs adjustable things, and just glue it in place. Run the lines through them. You're good to go. Okay. So I think that would be the biggest, one of the biggest things that you can do to the plane. If you just do the adjustable lead outs, you're gonna be fine.
You really put Len to sleep again.
Yeah, we like to mess with him.
Yeah, I just highlighted him so y'all could see him. Can y'all hear me talking now?
Catch your eyes.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I restarted everything.
Hey, Bill, have you seen the pattern? I mean, have you seen the full pattern, Bill?
There you go.
No.
The whole I've watched lots of videos, people flying the pattern.
He's not ready for that.
No.
No. But I said the twister will get you through the whole pattern.
I think it's still a good idea to review the pattern on paper and get familiar with it, and then something would capture your eye that you want to do, and I would just practice it with my hand repeatedly and figure out how I could approach it. Like I approach my square loops almost straight overhead. I figured that would be the easiest way to attack that maneuver. So you do everything up high, providing your plane can stay tight, and that's where the adjustable lead outs will come in handy. And what I did is I was by myself, and I looked on the AMA website, and I found a club, and there happened to be a few guys that flew control line. And that's how I found him. And, as far as I was concerned, driving around, there was no one flying control line. But when I researched on the AMA, I found some guys. And that's when I first saw the pattern, right up front and in person. And those guys were kind enough to help me out. I went there with a Banshee with a torpedo 35 on it. And they soon showed me that I need to get a better motor so I can have a consistent engine run. And they helped me trim my plane and told me don't use this stuff, don't use that stuff. And next thing you know, I'm flying better and better just by getting around it, getting around other guys more seasoned.
Yeah.
Now, what I've done for people that I'm teaching how to fly is I fly their plane so that it turns the same, it's stable. I pretty much will make sure it's a really good plane and there's no surprises. And then when they finally fly it, they really appreciate it because being a beginner or new, you're most likely have the most difficult time because you're having to white knuckle everything because you don't even know, how to trim a plane. So having someone fly your plane is a huge advantage.
Charles,
When I lived in,
hang on. I think we lost Bill for a second. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
he's still got his things there, but yeah. Hey, Len,
Lynn,
Lenny,
Lynn.
Len
Len,
Burrell.
Len.
But
Hey, it's Canada Day.
what do you guys think about? I think it's ready for a twister. If you can do a loop and fly and land, I think it's ready for that.
Well, even
And
if
that should carry him through the whole pattern.
even if he can't do a loop, if he can take off, fly around, and land, he's ready for a twister. But
Okay,
but
yeah, I
Or
agree with that.
something flapless
The thing
like a
he needs-
Kawasaki.
the thing he needs to consider, we need to relate to him is that before he tries any maneuver like a loop,
Uh-huh.
he needs to talk to somebody, find out you don't just yank full up and let it stall coming around and do a figure nine. You need to fly it around the loop. You need to think everything out and know what he's going to do throughout the whole maneuver. So he doesn't know, what do I do now? And crash the airplane. So, same thing with flying inverted. Like most of you probably, I learned how to fly inverted by doing lazy eights and just extending that lazy eight out further and further until,
what I would recommend him 100% is after he finishes the plane, gets the motor in, aligns everything up. Okay, Bill, we're talking about you.
Yeah, I know. I keep getting disconnected.
So what we're talking about, I mean, we kind of the common denominator here is that you're ready for a twister plane. Okay. I'm not sure how much everybody agrees with me, but I'm thinking electric.
I would think something without flaps, maybe like a Kawasaki or something like that.
Twister is fine, I think.
Twister's fine.
Twister is fine, yeah. It's gonna.
Or Magician. I flew one of those Magician 35 when I was a kid.
Yeah. So Anyways, so kind of we locked in on a twister with an electric system because it's bulletproof. It's gonna run for you. It's the same over and over again. Now, what I would say, after you build a plane and get it all ready for the first flight and everything else, you could probably adventure into taking the plane up in the air, puts a few level laps, maybe land it and stuff like that. But I would say the trip, the 3-hour, 2-hour trip or 3-hour trip to see the other guys that know what they are doing, and maybe they have some good pilots, some people that know how to trim a plane or something like that, to go over there and get the plane trimmed to the plane to the place into the place where the plane flies beautifully, right, everywhere, and
well worth the time and money.
Well worth the time, exactly. And or if there's a competition nearby your house or something like that, go to the contest over there. I'm sure you're gonna find a lot of people that would drop everything to help you out and get you up and running, right?
I've got a question. I got a question, Trade, real quick. Isn't Shug Emery from Minneapolis?
Yeah, he's part of the
he's a piston popper.
There's a guy that would probably be pretty good at training. So I'll back out and let you continue training.
So if someone else gets their hands on your plane, they fly it, they trim it out, and everything runs just perfectly and stuff like that. Then as you come back and get a hold of your plane, now you can start doing some real stuff, right? You can start your flying, your loops and stuff like that. But I say my idea would be to, if you're comfortable doing the loops and you're comfortable taking off and landing, maybe comfortable doing a wing over or something like that, I think you should start to adventure almost immediately into inverted flight. And But if you have your reflexes for normal flight, pretty comfortable with that, right? Going to inverted flight and start practicing that almost immediately. Then if you're with those guys together over there, do it together
I
with them.
agree.
Okay, you don't want
I
to
agree.
spend
It's time to start inverted.
Yep.
you don't want to spend a lot of time in normal flight and then adventure very late on into inverted flight, because you're going to be very unbalanced. Okay, your skills are going to be here for normal flight, and for inverted flight is going to be here, right? But if you have the skills here and an inverted flight, they kind of catch up, and then you're going to even up, kind of like that. So a lot of people that fly right now, I see them, they're scared to death to go inverted, and they do a beautiful inside loop on a eights, and then they do a little tiny donut on the outside, and a big normal beautiful loop, and a little tiny donut over there. You see it everywhere, where you see them doing a square eight, and they're nice at doing the first one, and then go on the second one. They go like, ah! How they go again like that. Ah! So, so, so the idea is that if you can do a loop, you can probably do a wing over just fine. So, uh, just yeah, get
I
a plane
agree.
built,
Get in inverted
whatever.
as
Yeah,
soon as you can.
yeah. There are a lot of nice planes. There are the Cardinal 40. There are
And
the
then,
Twister. There are uh, the Magician. There are a bunch of this simple profile of flapped planes that were going to help you a lot. I would probably say something without flaps would work out, but if as soon as you're going to start to practice squares, triangles, and stuff like that, uh, they don't work very well. So, but if you build something like this, is going to carry you on. Don't try to push your maneuvers. If you do a loop, be happy that you did the loop safely. The rest doesn't matter shit. Pardon my French, no. It does not matter, Bill. It does not matter.
rescue moving.
The more you're gonna fly, the better they're gonna get. Okay. The more it's time flying. Do everything. Do it safely. Don't try to push a 5-foot bottoms in the first flight. It's not gonna happen. Find a negative 5-foot bottom.
I didn't even mention this.
Go fast. So, so as long as you have a plane that flies well, it's consistent. Uh, it's amazing what you can do with a tool like that. It's like, for me, I had a plane that was very inconsistent. It was a good plane, but I think if I had an electric motor on that plane, it would be fantastic, right? But because I built the nose the wrong way and the engine would vibrate and stuff like that, I never had a good engine run and stuff like that. So it kind of made my life crazy, right? But if you have a plane with a good motor run that's has flaps and an elevator, I think you are set. It really doesn't matter what the plane is too much, okay? And you can probably even scratch build a twister yourself, because I know you have the skills for that. I've seen you building the gliders. I've seen you building those little RC planes with a polyhedral with stick and tissue and stuff like that. So I know you can do it. You can probably just get the plans for a twister and put better wood in it and stuff like that, and do it yourself and make the fuselage whatever shape you want to have. I kind of hate the canopy and the tail on the twister. Other than that, it's a good plane. So
I
that's
saw
that.
one made into a submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't like the stock one, get the Fancerized twister and do that one. You get that off of Outer Zone, get the plans for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a butt ugly plane built stock.
Yeah. Now, if you want to, if you decide to go with a twister, and if you decide to go with electric, I would highly recommend to thin out that airfoil. It's way too thick. The twister airfoil is way too thick for electric. Electrics likes they like airfoil that would cut through the air a lot better than that. Okay.
Banshee ought to be about right for that.
Banshee is kind of big.
Wow.
Even Banshee. I'm thinking Aries kind of airfoil.
Well, that's
So-
good because I'm building electric Aries right now.
Yeah, no, that's a great selection. That's a great choice, right? So if you choose to do that, and I hope you do, right? Anyways, and I think going in that direction. For electric system for a twister, if you want some numbers or something like that, you can contact me. I'll give you what I'm using. In general, in electric, if you look at least my setup in Stunt Hangar, they're all good recommendations. However, I think 90% of them use a smaller engine than it should be. It's just my, small motors put a lot of pressure on everything. Okay, put a lot of pressure on the electronic speed controller because it has to pump out a lot of amperage into the motor to have the motor spin the prop at whatever commanded RPM it is. Okay, and then because and now the speed control needs to be supplied with that kind of a power from the battery. So the battery is being stressed out. So the battery gets hot, the ESC gets hot, the motor gets hot, and all that heat combined from everywhere. Guess what it is? It's wasted energy out the window. But if you have a bigger motor, it will ease up will turn the prop a lot easier. The EAC doesn't have to be as big. The motor I'm using on the twister that I built for my son is using a 35 amp ESC, and I think that's a big ESC for it. And I'm using a 4S 2200 milliamps battery for it, and it's well within the range. So as motors get bigger, I think the big misconception is I'm going to use a small motor because I'm going to save weight. This is a small motor. It's going to turn that big prop that I want to do. So what they do now they have to put a big ass ESC over there to pump on the to pump the juice into the motor, and a big battery now because it has to have a higher C rating to be able to keep up with that. And the battery is big, the ESC is big, so all the extra weight that you have over there in the battery, ESC, most likely even the cables that you're running over there, because you need thicker cables for the higher amperage, it all adds weight. And I think it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing, right? But you're robbing the battery and ESC of weight and mass, and you send it to Paul, right, to the motor. So the motor it's a little bit heavier, but the battery and ACS are lighter. The cable are lighter, but the whole system is very relaxed and runs well. So that's my tell on that. So yeah. So it's like, that's what I'm thinking. It's like a decent plane in good trim condition, right? They will fly better than you can right now. Okay. If the plane is not in good trim condition, if the motor is running bad, you're not flying, you're fighting. And fighting is not learning. Okay? If you wonder what the engine is going to do, what the plane is going to do, or something like that, you're not flying, you're fighting the plane. Okay? So these are my first two conditions: a decent plane with a good power plant. That's consistent, right? So
I have a question, Brian. Hey, Bill, have you seen the website flyinglines.org?
No.
If you go check that site out, Paul Walker wrote a whole trim article on how to trim a plane, and that'd be a very good place for you to kind of get acclimated with what lead outs do, and tail weight, tip weight, nose weight, all that stuff, CG, vertical CG. He goes into that. And I think he even goes into what's called bench trimming, so you can at least get your plane out there the very first time, and it'll be pretty safe. And that's
I think the bench trim is the bench
it's in the
trim
flow chart for him. It's really good.
But the flight trimming, he's not ready for it. I mean,
I understand there's a lot of advanced stuff, but there's just to
The
be
plane
familiar with
training,
that would be very helpful. And now, another question, Bill, do you fly by yourself?
Yeah.
So you have a stooge, or how do you fly
Yeah.
control line? Oh, good. Well, that's good, because that way you can get a lot of flights in repetitively. You know, you can kind of
yeah.
learn from mistakes. You know, just have some 5-minute epoxy handy and go out there and fly and
Yeah.
keep, just learn from them. Learn from your mistakes.
I'm thinking play safe. Just play safe. Whatever you do, just play safe.
And I'm in no rush to improve. It's just like
Perfect. Yeah. Bill,
You
that's
know,
perfect attitude. That's perfect attitude. Don't rush it. As soon as
something
you rush it,
I'd like to add in here, Trent. One of the best assets that you can get is to get with other modelers that are flying control line. When I lived in Wisconsin, I lived up in Door County, which is 140, 180 so odd miles from Milwaukee. The only club around was the Milwaukee Circle Masters. And I used to drive down there for their meetings. And I used to drive, they'd have fly days. I'd drive down there so I could fly with them. And having them around helped a lot. When you've got experienced modelers around, you will learn faster, won't wreck your airplane as much, and you'll have a more fun doing it. Tran is giving you good advice, so is Charles. But make the trip or take that. You're going to meet some really nice people that you're going to like spending time with. And you will learn so much by going up to Minneapolis to the Piston Poppers and flying with them. And they might have a flying day once or twice a month. Do it. Go get involved with them.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. So
let's sort of get real here. Everybody here knows that whenever anybody goes out to a flying field to fly, usually they get there as early as they can, especially during the summer months, because of course they don't want to tie up their whole day going out flying. And if he's like 2 hours, he's a 2-hour drive away from wherever these guys are. He's got to get on the road, say 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, just to get there at 9, when the guys have already put in half their flights. At least that's the way it used to be with me. I'd go out to a flying field. Anybody that was any of the more adept flyers, they want to get out there early in the morning, get their flights in, get their practice in, and they want to be home by, let's say, no later than 11 or noon that morning. And to have him, yes, it's very, very valuable for that kind of how would I say, tutorage. It's just, it's kind of in a situation where he would have to be really dedicated to get up early in the morning to make that drive, to get there before everybody is just plain gone for the day.
Well, Pete, what you're saying, Pete, has merit. But if he's on the road at 7 and he's 2 hours away, he'd be there at 9. So
plenty good.
Yeah,
that's double work. Yeah, but it's like he doesn't have to be with them all the time, right?
No.
This is what I'm talking about. Just get the first flights in, get the trimming done on a plane, maybe start to learn how to go inverted or something like that, and then you can be on your own from then on. Okay, once you're comfortable going inverted and doing outside loops and inside loops, and you have your plane trim, you're done. You don't need to go. We don't need any more from that point on. But it's just going to be just a few visits or something like that. Now, if you might end up liking it and being with them, and that's kind of addictive sometimes. I like to go flying when other people around, and I absolutely enjoy it. I mean, you don't get to fly as much as if you are by yourself. That's for sure. But it's a lot of fun. I like it.
A lot of it depends on what his goals are. As he wants to be a good sport, a talented sports flyer. That's one thing. He wants to go competition. That's another thing. We had a fellow here in the Salt Lake area. He was a good pilot, but he always flew by himself. And he got to where he practiced. till he got all of his mistakes perfect.
Yeah.
We've got guys here.
You couldn't tell him because he was sure he had it perfect. He'd read the books, you know.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I
We've
mean,
got
I would
guys
love
here.
to have a coach. I mean, God knows, I would love to have a coach. I mean,
Same
that
here.
would be wonderful.
We've got guys here in North Carolina that do drive an hour and a half to get here. We got one that comes up from Charlotte, and we live Winston-Salem area. But we got two that drive up from Charlotte, and I understand there's a third one now that I don't know him yet. I'll meet him in the morning. But three of them that drive up from Charlotte area, an hour and a half, and then we got two that drive down from Virginia to fly with us at Hobby Park. And they'd heard about Tom Looper and myself and wanted to meet us and came down and got to talking, and we got flying together. And now there's 12 people flying down here, guys. We got 2 asphalt circles, and we got stunners on both of them. This hasn't happened in 45 years I've been flying out there.
Wow.
So when word gets around, you will get some flyers, and you learn that your ringmaster don't need to have straight up, straight down elevator to fly. 30 degrees is more than enough. So it's a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun. And we go to dinner afterwards. We make a day of it. But it's
You don't need a barn
What a
door on the
horrible
back of your
time.
ringmaster.
But
So
I
you
agree
guys
with
have a
everything
horrible
Trey has
time there,
said.
right?
He's right on all counts. But they will drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to learn. And then after, if they like what they see, these guys are every week. We got 4 of them that drive like that every week to come fly with us. And we're out there at 8 o'clock in the morning. They're waiting on us when we get there.
Oh,
I mean, I can't talk. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go fishing. So, what do I know?
No.
Pete
So-
says, no, I can go to the fish market.
Yeah.
But anyway, it will work. It will work. If the guys are there, if you'll go to
Well,
Minnesota to meet
where
those guys, I've been up to piston poppers.
Where are you talking about, Phil? Do you fly at Huntersville?
I fly at Huntersville too, but we fly at Hobby Park. I went down a few weeks ago and met William in Huntersville and flew with him. That's an hour and a half drive for me. But you know what? I learned more about electric in that 3 hours we spent at Huntersville than I ever knew before. The only thing I knew about electric up until I went to Huntersville and met with William Davis is that I'd seen Trayan's plane and I want one. That's all I knew. That plane's amazing.
Yeah.
That sucker is amazing. I'm telling you, Trayan's got a winner.
Amen.
Yeah, I want one too, Philip.
Yeah.
so I've been teaching myself how to fly a helicopter now, too.
Oh,
geez.
And after I got the simulator, it's really going pretty good, but I find that my progress isn't linear, like you think it should be. It's like, some days, you don't do all that well.
Yeah, I remember you and I talked about that on the phone the other day.
I have RC sailplanes and control line stunners, and I have 2 helicopters downstairs, but I bought them from my grandson. I thought that he would tear them all to pieces. No, the kid he's one of these that he'd been playing with my simulator, and I said, well, the real thing's a lot different than a simulator. So he gets it, takes it, flies it all around the backyard and brings it back, lands it. What's next, Papa? What the heck? I can't do that. Oh, well, whatever.
Why are you making Papa look like that?
I'm supposed to be teaching him. He's got to teach me how to fly these helibirds. And now he's got all these little, what do they call these multi-rotor things?
Quadcopter.
Drones, makes them do flips and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there, what the heck?
Yeah.
My wife was in the hospital. He brought a drone to the hospital room, and he's over showing us how you can make it flip in the hospital room.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about this stuff.
Yeah,
But
that
anyway,
So what do you think, Bill?
Well, I think that's how I'm headed, I probably will get a twister, but I don't get too much building done during the summer. But
You know what?
What I was going to suggest Bill get a Brodak R flight streak, an ARF flight streak. It'll do anything that he wants it to do.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I second that. Actually, you can even do better than that. There has an ARF P40,
Mm-hmm.
a P40 ARF that's electric.
You know, I've got that.
Oh, I don't know. What's your budget?
The only
What
thing
do you want
about
to do, Bill? You want to build?
about electric is then he's got to learn a whole nother paradigm of
No.
knowledge for
If
electric.
he's learning,
Not
anyway,
true.
what's the difference?
Yes, it is.
It's not true. I can give him the exact setup to put on it, and he could all have it, just buy the parts, put it on, and he's done.
Hey, listen,
Nothing to learn
there's
there.
a difference between somebody telling you what to put on there and actually have an understanding
It sure
go
will.
forward after you told them what to put on
A little too fast. It might do it a little too fast for you too.
Why? I mean, it's the same like somebody would tell you to put a PA-51, use this fuel, use this glow plug, use this propeller, and you are in the ballpark. And you just do that, and you're done.
As a common frame of reference, Cox 049 is still an
Train. Is that about?
Could deal with fuel and the things that he knows.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important things to get, and Tran touched on it, is to have consistency. You have a plane that flies the same and flies well and can do the maneuvers. You have a power plant that you can trust that it acts the same every time. Now, I've got that with my Stalkers, but I didn't have it with my Foxes.
Yeah.
And you have it with electric, it's consistent. What you're doing is taking away the problem areas that people have when you're fighting a mistrimmed airplane that has a lousy engine run and is not built straight. You're not having fun, not really.
Yeah. So Bill already flies electric stuff in other things. So he already knows about that stuff.
If he's already flying electric, then then there's no problem.
Yeah.
But just taking somebody who's been used to flying glow or internal combustion for many years, and then who's not basically gotten to the point where he's doing maneuvers, he's just really getting the hang of control line. Then it's a big step because it's a whole lot of other stuff that you have to learn. But if you're already familiar with electric, then go for it.
Yeah.
Well, if you're used to flying IC, and when you do get a power system that you can rely on and it is consistent, you will be absolutely amazed because it will make your flying so much easier. And that's IC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's So I'm looking here on what will be your budget, for this thing? I mean, what do you think you would be willing to budget for the next step up plane?
I don't know.
Remember, if you build it, you'll spread it out over a couple of months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's budget in time. You either put the budget in time or you put the budget somewhere else, but you have to budget something or have to make some kind of a decision if this is what you want. I'm a cheapskate. I would rather build my own shit. So,
that's not cheap. Half the fun is in the building, but if you've bought balsa lately, ain't nothing cheap, brother.
Not even a balsa nowadays, huh?
You're right.
Yeah.
I just got an order from Brodak in the other day, and I just had him put it on my credit card. When I looked at the credit card, how much I'd bought, I about fainted. I said, Lord, my wife is going to kill me.
Oh.
But anyway,
You're still alive.
It was bad.
Thanks God.
The thing is, Bill already has a charger. That's one of the big expenses.
Good morning, man.
The charger and already got all the stuff. All you need to do is get to somebody that knows how to make it work. Let them
That's what happened.
and show you a couple flights.
We were talking about you the whole time, Len.
I hope it was good.
Oh no! We just put you on the main screen for a little while.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
There was this spider that kept coming down.
Unbelievable.
It was. Oh,
Yeah, you're never gonna live down one. Never.
it got too close, and you got some extra protein.
Yeah, Rusty, when you pick the thumbnail, pick the one of Lynn sleeping for the video chat.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Am I audible to you guys right now? Am I talking and moving my lips at the same time right now?
You're not on the main screen, Rusty. I don't see you.
Maybe not in sync,
No.
but we can
Yeah,
hear you.
it's just a
Alright.
little off. It's not off a lot, just a bit. It's okay,
So another-
Rusty. You're still looking good, so that's all that
I'll
matters.
just have to kick about half of you guys out, then it'll come back.
That's true. That's true.
So question I
Bill,
thought of,
Here
know,
you go. I'm gonna.
I'll just sit here and
something
smile.
in the Starbucks here for you.
God.
Bill
You're
has
just
a
gonna sit there and
question.
look pretty, Rusty.
Bill, I put something in the chat box for you.
so Charles, you said you had so much line. What is
Yeah.
the line must be used for other things, besides control line that we use, huh?
No, it's all for control line. Yeah, I have in my garage here. I have 10 planes. So you figure, even if I had just one set of a reel of lines, that's 10 reels just for
That's right.
each plane.
But I
And I
mean,
have-
isn't that line available for other things? Or, I mean, it isn't just, or how do you get, you said you had like 1,000 feet or whatever. Or,
Oh, I have several thousand, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 feet. I have some brass lines. I have a couple thousand feet of brass lines I want to try, and then I have a couple thousand feet of stainless steel lines. Because I have 015, I have 018s, 014s, 015s, and
Cool.
I have some customers that I make lines for as well. That's partly why I have so much lines. But out of 1,000 feet, I think I only get about 7 sets.
oh,
That's not it sounds like a lot, but because I have sometimes a plane, I have a Ziploc bag with a handle and maybe 2 reels of lines for that plane. Depending upon the circumstances, I might be experiment with different lengths, So it's just cheaper for me. I'm cheap like Tryon. I'm cheap. So I mean, buy a set of lines, it's like 22, 25 bucks.
yeah.
And the thing is, unless they're Tom Moore's lines, they're not exactly right. If you buy the Sullivan lines, trust me, they could be off 2 feet.
Oh yeah.
So I will buy 1,000 feet of lines and get 7, and I'll spend, I think, for 1,000 feet, it runs me about I don't know, $60 or so. But then I'll get 7 sets, so it's a bargain if you ask me. It just takes time. It just takes time. That's the only downside. But because I have small planes and big planes. What I consider small planes is classic planes, and then my Stregas. I have a couple Stregas, and I have an Impact. So I have some big planes. I have a Top Flight 4. That's 4 big airplanes. Those all use 018s. And then I have about 7 classic planes. They all use 015s.
Yep.
So it's just that's why I have so many.
Where's your cutoff point, Charles? Like, where do you go between the 18 thou and the 15 thou?
Oh, 64 ounces.
64 ounces.
Okay. So you would fly a 63-ounce airplane on 015?
Yep.
Yeah, I would. I don't have a 63-ounce plane.
No, but I'm just saying.
Get a little stretchy on the lines.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
have a plane in that. I hope my new Strega will be that weight, but most of the bigger planes are over 70 ounces, so I'm using 018s, you know.
yeah, I get you.
But I hope you have that problem. That'd be a nice problem.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. I don't generally go by plain weight. I go by up until now. I understand some motors have more power than others, but my cutoff point is for 015 is anything more than a 46, I will use 018. In other words, if I'm flying a 51 to a 60 size airplane, I'll usually, or higher, I'll usually use 018. But up to a 46, like an LA 46 or a Stalker 46, I'll use 015.
Yeah,
Bill, I put another link in there.
in my 015 planes, I'm using OS 46. My OS 46 planes, I fly 015.
Yeah, that's fine. It seems fine.
Okay.
Yeah, my 51, I had a Super Tiger 51 in a Top Flight Score. That thing pushed so hard, I actually felt
That's right.
with an 018.
There seems to be a big difference in pull between a 46 size airplane and a 51 size airplane. I don't know exactly why it seems like it's so much, but yeah, when I go to a 51, I usually go to 18,000.
Yeah.
To me, a 51 and up is a big airplane. Anything below a 50.
But you know, Sparky's Junar, when I flew that at the Nats,
right?
That was a 58.5-ounce plane with a Super Tiger 60, and I flew it on I think he had 014 brass lines.
Wow, that's very thin.
But you know what? It felt very comfortable. I could be mistaken. Sparky can correct me, but I think he had the smaller of the brass lines.
Yeah.
And that was the first
Mind
time.
you, though, also Sparky's airplane was probably very light.
Oh yeah, 58.
Whereas my 51 size airplane is a heavy airplane.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Like my Tiger 51, like most of my Tiger 51 powered airplanes are upwards of 58 to 60 ounces.
Made out of concrete.
Yeah. Concrete wings and rebar spars.
There you go.
They don't crash, they bounce.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They bend.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yeah.
Bill, this is my weapon of choice for a motor for a 40. I said this is my weapon of choice for a motors for a 40 that I put here in the chat box.
You guys did. Whoa, there's a 51.
Ooh, there's a 51.
Oh yeah, G21 51. Nice motor.
Is it reworked?
It is brand spanking new. Not a minute of engine on it. I'm gonna send it over to Randy.
Yeah, send it to Randy or Tom Dixon. They'll make it run like you wouldn't believe. Tom Dixon's done all my 51s, and I tell you guys, they run amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Everything Dixon does runs amazing.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
just
good.
under one condition. Do as he tells you.
As he tells you. Yeah, that's true.
If you try your own thing, don't even be bothered. Just run it out of the box and have fun. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to listen and do what he tells you, they will run incredibly.
Yeah.
You guys that have run the two big stalkers.
Yeah, get rid of that muffler.
You guys that have run the two big stalkers, the 81 and the 76. I just bought a 76 from Tom.
Right.
How does the 81 run compared to the 76?
Bigger.
I don't know. All I have
Charles is the guy.
Well, Charles has got.
Yeah, I think John Miller is the guy.
Okay.
Well, I understand Charles is running one on the same plane I'm running. My plane is going to be the Turbo Raven, but it's based on a Strega. The wing is a Strega, and I just modify it.
Well, the thing is first off with stalkers is you got to run them the way they're made to be run, and that's FAI fuel, 70 to 80% synthetic oil, and you know,
right on.
and you run them with at least a 6-inch prop pitch on the prop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you run, like the 81 can run a 14-inch 6 prop. I tend to run them a little smaller, 14.6. But it's kind of funny that early on, the 76 got the good nods from some people, and so people kind of pushed the 81 away. I, on the other hand, have got 3 of them now.
Wow.
And they run very well for me. I've got most of my stunt engines. In fact, all of my real stunt engines are all Stalkers. I got them from 40 all the way up to 81.
That's awesome.
I love them. I was talking about having good engine runs, reliable engine runs. Yeah, that's why I went with Stalkers. But nonetheless, the 76 has got pretty decent power. The 81 has just a little more depth than that power. A little bit more.
Do you think a Stalker 76 would turn I think it's a 13.6 3-blade prop?
I think so.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna try to. That's what I bought. Y'all were talking about those Turnigy props one night, and I ordered 3 of them. I said I don't want to have to cut these things down. They're too pretty, and they're balanced.
Those wooden ones.
Right.
That's those wooden ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty props.
Pretty nice. I saw Trey and Steve was talking about them, and I had to have 3 of them. But this is my first year flying electric, and I had already planned for fuel, and then changed over to electric. So I'm doing both. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, but I fly mufflers, I fly 4-strokes, I fly tune pipes, and then I've got electrics. So
I bypassed the tune pipes. I just
you're a smart man.
Yeah, but I went from that. I went from standard, like OS 35S's, LA 46s, OS 40 FPs, modified. Went from those, went right to the Stalkers.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I'm not a top-notch competition guy. I love the competition, but I don't put enough time into it to really. The best flight I ever had was like a 537, I think it was.
It's pretty top notch.
Well, yeah, but I had to really knuckle down and bear down to do it. But
most definitely.
But I really love the way the Stalkers ran for me. I always used to say that the Stalkers are like the designers and the builders of the Stalkers. They kind of took the old scavenged, loop scavenged engine
technology,
and took them right to where they're getting about all you're going to get out of that kind of engine.
Yeah.
And they're very reliable. And when you learn how to start them, it's one flip every time. And they're there's other engines. The Discovery Retro is a good engine. The Double Stars are supposed to be pretty good engines, though they apparently don't like mufflers. There are good engines out there of that ilk.
Yeah.
But for me, consistently, that's why I've got so many Stalkers.
Yeah. I like them all. That's the problem. I need to settle with one. But I'm moving more toward electric.
Well, and I've got an electric here that I'm designing to fly competition with. But I probably will continue to fly over time certain planes. I got a couple of side exhaust Stalkers, so I can use them in classic airplanes, things like that. I use a rear exhaust 40 on my All-American Eagle, and I just love the way that plane. Oh yeah, that is a very good plane. One of the better ones. It's kind of like it's part of the Novi series, but it's one people don't know much about. Yeah, good airplane. And it looks funny going by because that stab elevator is bent.
Yeah, what's wrong with your stab? Yeah, I heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
if I can add something.
Who do you send one of these to?
I
That's
don't
what
know
I've got. I've got lots of those.
I don't know much about those.
I have one, a 61, and it was built by George Aldrich. It's got loop. It's got support.
The road jets are made specifically for stunt.
Okay.
And the dub jets are
I'm looking to invest in one of these.
the dub jets. These are made more for pylon racing.
Yeah, they're racing type motors, high performance motors. They're a different line of engine. If you want a stunt motor, you want if you want a stunt motor, you want a road jet, not a jet.
Yeah,
it's the
I still contact the
same
same
guy.
people, right? I still contact the same people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time
Contact Dub Jet. He makes everything from a 40 right up to a 90.
Yeah.
But be prepared to use a pipe with that engine.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Just like my 46.
Yeah, you could use a header muffler.
Yeah, I use header mufflers with mine. I have two 90s, a 67, 76, and they all run beautifully. They're beautiful motors. They run fantastic. But again, they have their own starting sequence. They have their own fuel that they like. Every manufacturer, like these guys, has certain things that make them run beautifully, and you have to listen and do what they tell you, or you're going to be in trouble right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like I know that
if you're used to a PA, that ain't it.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you like the jets, the road jets, they don't like caster. Do not put caster in a road jet. They don't run worth a crap if you do. They just cake up and burn up, and you'll destroy the thing. You know, you have to run it the way they tell you to run it, and it'll run fantastic. And Dub Jet and Rich Oliver are both really good guys to deal with. They're very easy to deal with. And if you have a problem with your motor, you send it to them, they fix it and send it back, and it runs great every time.
Yep.
But you have to do what they tell you, just like Tom Dixon. And I guarantee Randy's probably the same way. If you send your motor to Randy, you know, he'll make it run properly, and he'll tell you how to make it run properly.
Yep. Well,
I wanted to add something, Phil. On the Stocker 81s, I run a little more pitch. I run like a 7 pitch. And my experience with the Stockers is when I want more lap time, I don't try to go in a needle. I actually will get more pitch. I'll change the pitch.
Yeah.
So I will, like the carbon fiber props, you know, I just keep repitching them. I put it in hot water and add more pitch to it, and that's how I get the performance.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what I love about the Stocker 81 is that it gives me so much confidence in the wind, because the wind can't push that plane around. The plane doesn't speed up.
Exactly.
It gives you so much confidence, and I've gone as high as this might sound ridiculous, but I've gone as high as 9-inch pitch.
Wow! Wow!
Yeah, I had a 13 3-blade prop that went up to 9, and but I've done all kind of different setups. I've tried different scenarios, and the Stocker is very flexible, providing I just keep changing prop pitch. You know, don't worry so much about like a typical stunt engine. You can get more speed by turning the needle in, but the Stocker, for some reason, doesn't seem to make a difference. I can try to speed the motor up with a needle valve, but it doesn't have any effect. It's just going to run there. So I just get more speed with the prop pitch. And
I find this
but Charles, you don't want to go under 6-inch pitch on those big Stockers, because they're just not made to run.
I never went even close. I've never been as low as 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been lower than 7-inch pitch. 8-inch pitch I've tried. Like I said, 9-inch on the 3-blade prop. It's just a totally different
critter.
It's a grunt. It's a grunt.
Grunt motors.
No caster fill up, just all synthetic, and it's cheaper too. I mean, it's like I'll do the stunt pattern on less than 5 ounces of fuel.
I like this.
I have the same thing with my 90. my Roadjet 90s run on 5 1/8 ounces of fuel, and they do the whole pattern. And I'm using anywhere from a 15.5 to a 16.6 prop.
Yeah.
That's a lawnmower blade.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, my sucker I can't get enough speed with a 6-inch pitch. At least maybe that's my first rig. I mean,
I'm gonna try a higher pitch after listening to this, Charles, because I think it'll handle it easily.
Yeah, try it. It's nice. I love it.
I'm gonna try it.
Let me know.
Yeah,
give
for
it a
sure.
shot too.
You may end up being my hero yet.
Wow, that's awesome.
You betcha.
Well, Walter Hicks.
You mean I'm no longer your hero?
You're my hero. You're already my hero, Tryon. Don't you worry about it. You've been my hero since Windy videos.
Yeah, I know that, but that's when he talked about Dorian. I didn't know Tryon and Dorian was the same person.
No, either did I. Till I asked him.
I am that one and only.
I just call that Romanian guy.
Okay, I got one question for Tryon, and I got to get out of here. Are you gonna make the Georgia contest or the Huntersville contest this year? Can you make those? Either one of those.
I'm trying to make them both.
Sounds good.
The Georgia for sure.
Look forward to seeing you because I want to see that plane again. It was good the first time I saw it. It sounds like it's going to be much better now.
I'll have you fly it if you want to.
I'd love to. You take care of yourselves. Guys, have a great night. I got to get out of here.
You're going to get spoiled.
Thanks so much. We'll see you Monday.
Take her easy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear me, but thanks for coming. Good night.
Thank you, Rusty.
Yeah,
Good night.
we hear you, Rusty.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we hear you, Rusty. Right on time.
That's unusual. I've been rebooting and all kind of stuff. Okay.
You're loud and clear now, Rusty.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know what you did, but it worked.
I closed everything in the browser and restarted it, and it was a pain in the ass getting all the old pages back out of the history. I'm on a new browser and not familiar with all the clicks and buttons yet, so maybe it'll work for a while.
Whatever works.
Rusty will be perfect. Check this out, guys.
Oh yeah.
Check what is that?
Propellers.
How many different propellers I'm holding here?
Two.
Two, right?
Looks like two. Yeah.
Two.
But if you do that,
Oh, he's going into this contra-rotating thing.
no. But look at this. It's a perfect copy. This carbon fiber prop, it's a copy of the Exor prop.
Wow.
Why did you make
Isn't
it?
that wild?
No, I just bought this one from a guy from Poland. Beautiful
Okay.
prop. The craftsmanship
Wow.
is outstanding. It's lightweight, $25 for a prop. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. It's hollow molded, I think. It's super light.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it was.
Yeah. I'm almost sure it's hollow molded. It's super light. I think it's a 12.6.
Wow.
How much money and materials does it cost you to mold a prop?
A
Not
prop?
much, is it? Yeah, it's not much, is it? Epoxy and carbon fiber.
$5 if that.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
labor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the labor. It's the labor that'll kill you, not the price of the material.
I guess, yeah, that's what I was fishing for, is because
Yeah.
carbon fiber props are always expensive to buy, but I figured, yeah, the materials couldn't be most of that. I think it's the labor.
Trans molded more props than any of us will ever mold.
No doubt.
Yeah. So
I've got a couple of them. Well, actually, the ones I got, Windy did them. Brian didn't do them. But it's your mold.
you still yet to have to adventure making one.
No, I'm scared shitless of that idea, but I will. I'm liable to go. I'm liable to glow in the dark after that. No, I'm only kidding. I just
don't
haven't
fall
got
asleep
around.
while you're making it.
But no, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
The four blade runs beautiful on my 90, but I'm going to do some experimenting now that Charles has said that higher pitch might be even better still. So I'm going to go a little further with this.
I think Wendy did some wood props for the 90 ship as well, and he was kind of like, I can use this or I can use that. They're both, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he ran woods for sure. He
Yeah.
used a little bit of everything, but he loved your four blades.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys
You know-
seen the prop video I put up on my channel? It's
Yes.
Winnie and Alfie about prop tuning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, hadn't seen it.
There's a lot of information. It's a 2-hour video, but I think it's well worth it.
Uh-huh.
I've learned so much from that over the years. That's why I put it up on my channel. And it's great information.
Yeah.
That's some nice aluminum there Peter's showing.
Yeah, has anybody figured out what these are?
Yeah.
They're bell cranks.
You know, belt cranks I can get, but what is this other stuff up here?
That's a
Removable,
carburetor
Take
tank
a-
for-
This.
removable
Take apart
brake
hardware.
things. If we're
Oh,
making
okay.
Yeah, take apart hardware, Peter.
Oh, okay. Because I couldn't figure it out. There's some guy. It looks like it's he's in Russia. He wants $45 for an entire set, which seemed to be very reasonable to me. But I couldn't figure out what that whole structure over there was.
That's the take apart system. You put the horizontal stuff, the one in the center goes in a fuselage, and the other two parts go outside into the wing,
Okay.
the one with the holes.
Mhm.
So you tie that into the spars of the wing, and then when you plug in the wing, you just use some screws that go from the top and the bottom. You cannot see them from this angle, but they're over there. And
Cool.
obviously you have to make a fuselage that's thin enough to be adapted to that.
Okay.
And that's that.
Okay, I was just curious.
My system will be suitable to something like that, but it's a lot lighter.
I mean, it was all that machine work. I was like surprised that you belt crank and they take apart structure all for $45 seemed like really reasonable.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, and that's a good price for that.
Yeah, one day I'll have a take apart way. I'd like to go that way. That way I can fly to contests and just take my airplane with me.
Carry it on, pretty much. Yeah.
You know, one of the best carry-on or aircraft carriers, model airplane carriers to use for airlines is get yourself one of those cases that the snowboarders use. They're very strong, carbon fiber, and they're big enough that you can fit the airplane in there. And and they don't you don't run into problems with people saying, oh, you got an airplane there, we got to do this, and jacking you think they think you got a snowboard in there, and so they're used to seeing them, and so they just don't give you any bad times.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, somebody gave that idea.
The problem is if you say you got a snowboard in there and they decide they want to check and then it doesn't have a snowboard in it, then you're going to have a problem.
Well, the thing is,
Don't lie to them.
you don't say anything. They think it's a snowboard.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
You
If they ask,
say it's a snowboard case.
Yeah,
That's
but the thing is these days they turn around and they X-ray everything.
Yeah.
So if there isn't a snowboard in there, they will know.
Well, you're paying the freight for the weight and all that. What do they got? What if you're running electric?
I was thinking if it's check-in baggage, they will X-ray it.
Well, yeah. Well, you can't carry a snowboard case in carry it on. It's not a carry-on. It's too big.
Yep.
But so it's going to be checked.
I hope to never fly again out of an airport. I wouldn't mind going up in a little you know, twin engine Cessna or something, but I don't want to ever go on another airliner. I've been there, done that enough.
I used to live on airplanes.
Yeah, I did plenty.
The only airplane I've ever been up in was a glider, and I hated it. It was awful. Sitting on an A,
Wayne just finished building.
sitting on a
Wayne just
45
finished
degree
building the
angle.
glider.
All you're doing is sitting on a 45 degree angle for an hour, going around in circles. I didn't care for that.
I mean, quite literally, I would fly into an airport. You know, get off the airplane, go to the ground transportation to get a ride home, and I hear my name being paged over the overhead speakers. Mr. Navai, please report to the courtesy desk. Please, Mr. Navai, please report to the courtesy desk. I go over to the courtesy desk and find out I've been booked on a flight to go someplace else and never got out of the airport.
Wow.
That's what happens when you're in demand.
The things we used to do for a living.
I still do it though.
What do you do, Peter?
I am a systems engineer for a Department of Defense contracting firm.
Wow.
Oh, I guess
So-
you can't say you didn't hear it.
But I don't travel as much as I used to, thank God. I used to live out of a suitcase.
I used to live out of a suitcase for different reasons. Oh boy.
Are you trying to say you was a player?
Oh, good Lord. I just couldn't resist.
Actually, along those same lines, my wife said the only reason we've been married so far has been I've been gone out of the house for so many years.
Yup. I can believe it. Oh, yeah.
You guys.
Oh, boy.
Well, guys, I'm running out of steam. I think I'm going to head on out.
Head for the sheets.
Yeah, normally the sheep are calling me.
You betcha.
Eat some popcorn. I'm done also.
Yeah, I reckon let's wrap it up. But had a,
All right, guys.
except for a spell there when I couldn't talk during the middle third of the show, which is usually every night. Had a good time, and so y'all all have a great weekend. You YouTubers out there were pretty plentiful tonight. I think it was 10 or 15 of you off and on, and so everybody, fair winds, tight lines, and we'll see you back here on Monday. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Rusty.
Okay.
All right, good night.
Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Glenn's the only one that's not tired. He got his nap in.
Yeah, I'm going to go home.